Boss Lady Thor.
The name is Mighty Thor!
I don't remember asking you a goddamn thing.
Alright, let's get this over with. I saw Thor Love and Thunder in theaters last year on the 8th of July, the day it was released in cinemas. I went with some of my friends from secondary school. Yes, secondary school, not high school. I'm Nigerian, deal with it. My experience with this movie could be summarized as dull, numb, free of sensitivity, and uneventful. In other words, I didn't feel shit while watching this dumpster fire of a movie. For those of you who don't know, Thor 4 is the fourth Thor movie. Come on you guys, this is basic arithmetic. Keep up. And who the fuck is Thor, you might ask? Well, originally he's a Norse god from Norse mythology. You guys, come on, keep up. Son of Odin, brother of Loki, god of thunder, bootleg Zeus, you know the rest. He's also a character in the equally fictional comic book universe of Marvel Comics because why the fuck not? Marvel Comics is sort of like DC Comics but less R-rated.
You're so dark!
DJ, you're not from the DC universe.
Thor is a major founding character. He's a major founding character in the Marvel Cinematic Universe that's had some less than fan favorite movies to say the least. His first movie was alright, didn't offend anybody but didn't particularly turn any heads either. It did its job, introduced us to a key member of the Avengers ahead of their debut movie, generated some good press for the Marvel Studios brand and made a profit. Now, the second movie, Thor the Dark World. Oh, and by the way, the Marvel Cinematic Universe, or MCU for short, is a collection of interconnected Marvel movies where your favorite PG-13 superheroes interact with each other, fight crime, fight each other, throw parties, and you know, fuck. It's really cool and Thor lives there too. Spider-Man, while wearing his comic accurate Iron Spider costume, was once propelled in the air because he attached his web to a version of Thor's hammer from the past that was thrown by Captain fucking America. Whoo! I love it so much, so fucking much. I have several videos on this franchise alone with a whole lot more on the way. I'm actually fucking obsessed. Anyway, now that we're all caught up, Thor 2 came out in 2013, right after the Avengers movie was released in 2012. And that movie was the absolute fucking shit. So everybody was foaming at the mouth to see what the franchise had next in store for them. Unfortunately, the movie was trash, but it ended up making a lot of money because of the inherited goodwill from the Avengers movie. I wonder why that sounds so fucking familiar. Again, it wasn't particularly offensive or abysmally unwatchable. It was just incredibly fucking boring and very uneventful. It was essentially a shinier copy and paste version of the first film, but somehow less remarkable. I said this movie was uneventful, but Thor's brother died, Thor's mother died. We got introduced to a bloody Infinity Stone. No, really, the Infinity Stone looked bloody as fuck. Thor renounced the throne of Asgard, and apparently his brother didn't really die and is now the de facto ruler of Asgard because he banished their father to Midgard with magic. So some shit definitely happened in this movie, but we're all just too bored to care or remember. Fast forward 4 years later, it's 2017. The MCU is now the biggest film franchise to ever fucking exist. Thor is a somewhat likable member of the Avengers, and every single movie with a Marvel Studios logo makes almost $1 billion. So they decided to give good old Thor another chance, and they greenlight a third Thor movie titled Thor Ragnarok. But this time they gave him just a little teeny tiny makeover. My man's went from silent and stoic to funny and cheerful literally overnight. They cut his hair, took away his cubicle ass hammer, threw Doctor Strange in there for a quick cameo, then used that scene in the Doctor Strange movie post credits to legitimize Steven's entry into the MCU. Filled every frame with all the colors, and I mean all the fucking colors. Threw Hulk in there just for good measure, and so the entire movie on their big gladiator fight, even though anybody with half a brain cell knew they would team up at the end to defeat the bigger bad guy once they found that both of their moms were named Martha. We all saw 2016. We know the fucking formula. You can't fool us. Now, Thor Ragnarok isn't a perfect movie. It basically spearheaded the assassination of Hulk as a character, and it introduced Valkyrie, but it was the single greatest thing to happen to Thor as a character because he was now loved by the fans. He was funny, he was relatable, and he wasn't just a detached, slightly oblivious, insanely good-looking semiconductor. Sure, they might have gone a little bit overboard with the humor, but his character was perfectly fine-tuned in Infinity War, then immediately regressed in Endgame. But hey, Thor 3 made money and everybody loved it. So, what was the next logical step for these profit-oriented, money-hungry, bottom-line-driven franchise junkies? I mean, respectable Disney executives. That's right, make another one. So, they fucking did. Then, on the 8th of July, 2022, Thor Love and Thunder was born. And I'll tell you what, that movie fucking sucks. I saw it from beginning to end only once on the day it came out, and ever since that fateful day, I've not been able to rewatch more than 5 minutes of that atrocious film because every time I try to watch it again, as I do for all the movies in the MCU from time to time, I keep pausing it every 2 minutes to furiously complain to myself about one thing or the other until I eventually shut my laptop and proceed to spend the next 3 hours watching YouTube videos on my phone. I recently revisited a scene from about 30 minutes into the movie for a video I made close to 4 months ago, but outside of that, I've not experienced this film in its entirety since the day it was released in cinemas, and that's that's because it is quite literally the worst of the worst. It is currently the dumbest movie in Phase 4 and maybe even the whole MCU. Yes, that's counting Eternals, but don't get me wrong, Eternals was a lame ass movie that was so boring I fell asleep halfway through in the cinema. But at least it didn't destroy one of the best characters in the franchise and systematically placed numerous world-breaking plot holes in every single one of the Avengers movies. Love and Thunder is by far the worst out of the 4 Thor movies, and that's including Thor the Dark World, because that movie doesn't piss me off nearly as much as Love and Thunder does, and it actually added something to the Infinity Saga. But on top of all that, this is also undoubtedly the worst iteration of the character of Thor we've ever seen in the MCU. Thor as a character clearly peaked in Infinity War. He immediately fell off after he killed Thanos at the start of Endgame, and this fucking dog shit movie put the final nail in the coffin by choosing to make light of all the people he has lost, turning him from a stoic and charismatic badass that tells jokes sometimes to a straight up clown that can't take anything seriously to save his life. He went from being charming and assertive with Jane to being insecure and nervous whenever she's around.
Jane, I fought to protect you from the dangers of my world, but I was wrong. I was a fool. Oh! I believe that fate brought us together.
They say I got the juice, I got the sauce.
I just want to say that was very, very impressive what you did back there. It's, you and Mjolnir, you know.
Oh!
Yeah.
Wait for it.
Space dolphins.
What?
This, you should see them, space dolphins.
Oh, wow.
So, yeah.
Beautiful.
That other nigga, he a bozo.
And just straight up became a bimbling dumbass that rivals the likes of Jerry Smith from Rick and Morty. Because at least when Jerry fucked things up, he did it by accident. Thor, on the other hand, just makes the conscious decision to intentionally destroy public property left and right throughout this movie. And on top of all that, you know they just had to sprinkle in a bit of self-consciousness, insecurity, and low self-esteem in there, just to make sure he was not completely and utterly irredeemable as a character. Okay, I've stalled long enough. There is no more running away from this film. It's currently mid-September 2023. The movie came out early July 2022, so it's been well over a year now. The longer I procrastinate, the more it's going to hurt. So let's just fucking get into it. The movie starts out with a classic introduction to our big bad, immediately reminding me of Joker's introduction in The Dark Knight. So at least I'm starting off in a good mood. So we meet Gore, pre-god butcher, as he tries to survive in the desert with his daughter, constantly praying and begging for their god to save them. His god is obviously too cool to respond to his cries for help, so he leaves him on red. His daughter then dies unceremoniously as a result, and my good mood immediately dissolves, reminding me that I am indeed watching a Marvel Phase 4 movie. It's literally the first scene and we're already having major problems. This could have been a perfect opportunity to get the audience to sympathize with Gore and make us feel the weight of the loss he just experienced. But the scene is incredibly rushed and leaves no real impact on the audience. We feel nothing because we're not familiar with his daughter in any way. She doesn't say a single word until right before she dies. Then she whispers, "I'm tired." Like, no shit, bitch. You've been working for what looks like hours with no food, no water, and no end in sight. I'm getting tired just watching you. She doesn't say anything narratively useful, and when she does open her mouth, it immediately takes you out of the movie. Then we just cut to the next scene and she's already in the ground. No time to let the weight of this emotional moment really sit and marinate with the audience because, oh boy, we gotta get to all those hilariously well-written jokes, am I right? A simple way to fix this would have been to open the movie with Gore talking to his daughter as he carried her through the desert, trying to make her laugh and take her mind off the fact that they're both hungry as fuck and have nowhere to lay their head. Then show her laughing at his jokes and smiling at her dad because nothing warms the heart of your audience faster than the smile of a cute little baby girl. Let us know how much he cares about his daughter by showing us his willingness to use his last bit of energy to lift her spirits as he's literally carrying her in his arms, trying to shield her from the painful reality of the situation as much as he can while taking on double the burden. Then in the very next scene where we see Gore praying, show his daughter by the side praying and begging their god to take care of her father when she dies because she knows she's not going to make it much further. Then in the next scene when she's literally dying in his arms, have Gore talk about a fond memory from their past in a last ditch attempt to make her smile right before she passes away forever. They are both cheerfully laughing as we see her smile slowly fade away as she breathes her last breath, and Gore begs her to wake up as he shakes her shoulder, increasingly getting more frantic as he realizes that she's gone forever. Then he slowly lets out a deep and agonizing scream, yells her name and continues begging her to wake up. Then we see him struggle and fail to hold back tears as he buries his daughter. He painfully grabs his pendant in an attempt to detach it. The same pendant we saw him clench in prayer. He's about to discard it, but ultimately still chooses to not renounce his god, remaining a loyal servant to the end, even as he buries his daughter with tears in his eyes, showing how resilient his faith is. So when he meets his god and finds out he's a huge dick, the impact of that revelation will be even heavier, maybe even accidentally draw a contrast between him and Job from the Bible. I'm a very big softie, so if they would have done just one of those things, my eyes would have been wetter than your girl when she watches my videos. But I guess if we had shown all that, there won't have been enough time to tirelessly and completely humiliate Thor throughout the movie. Anyway, almost immediately after, a path leading to a specific god that just abandoned him and allowed his daughter to die literally appears out of nowhere because, of course it does. His god turns out to be a huge dick.
He thinks there's an eternal reward. No, sorry.
Gonna cry?
There's no eternal reward for you, dog!
Big surprise, so he renounces him, kills him with the necro sword, and vows to kill all gods. Again, everything about this scene is so wrong. But first of all, this guy was literally begging to be killed, to be honest, because the sword was just laying there on the floor, right next to the loyal servant that you're currently insulting and chastising. And you thought it was a good idea to start explaining to him in the most expository way possible how he could use that same sword to kill you. Then immediately go back to chastising and insulting him.
Not a great plan.
Now, back to this overly dramatic vow to kill all gods. First of all, why? From where? What did all the other gods do to you, bro? Only your god was a dick to you, and you have no reason to believe that all the other gods are dicks as well. It would be like me trying to make a move on this girl I saw at the pool, immediately get rejected, then vow to never talk to another girl again. Like, the fuck? That would be a dumbass and overly dramatic thing to do because the girl at the pool doesn't represent the interests and mannerisms of all the gods in the world, and neither does the loser of a god express the intentions and sentiments of all the gods in the universe, gore. But I mean, his god did say the sword chose him, so now he's cursed, which I guess implies that the sword is either corrupting him and fueling his rage and anger like the fucking symbiote from Spider-Man 3, or it's just straight up taking control of him and using him to carry out its own objectives, effectively taking away any sense of agency this already poorly written villain had to begin with. Besides that dumbass throwaway excuse of an explanation, there's literally no reason for you to be so invested in killing every single god based on this one shitty interaction, but I guess the plot needs to happen, so let's move on. We also literally don't get to see the fucking god butcher kill any god throughout the movie. We just hear about it a lot, see one or two corpses, then he goes on to terrorize a bunch of kids and makes a wish at the end. That's it. But sure, rush his character introduction and completely botch his character motivations, then go on to waste him throughout the film just so you can say your movie is now comic accurate. We get the updated Marvel opening sequence that now features new characters from all the Disney Plus shows that nobody watches. I can only imagine how confused casual MCU viewers were in theaters when they saw Moon Knight and Miss Marvel at the end of the opening sequence. Then we get a narration from Korg that pretty much summarizes Thor's life. I mean, it's a good idea in concept, but we've seen Thor in about 7 different MCU movies at this point. We don't need a summary of his life. We know who the nigga is. We cried with him when he was in a tiny spaceship talking to an anthropomorphic raccoon on his way to get a magic axe he needed to kill the big purple alien that killed his brother. We know who the nigga is, bro. The whole scene just feels very pointless, distasteful, and repetitive as fuck. But hey, this is the third movie where Thor is going on a journey to find himself, so I think repetition is par for the fucking course when it comes to this particular character. Which, by the way, can we put an end to that shit? Thor is a grown-ass man who has lived for over 1,000 years. He's not some anxious, lonely, and socially awkward teenage girl who just got to college and is trying to figure out what her new personality is going to be. So I feel like my nigga Thor should know who the fuck he is by now. The narration goes on to make light of all of Thor's dead homies and starts the process of repainting the narrative to make him look like he was a bitch in his relationship with Jane the whole time. They even go as far as taking a shot from one of his most stoic and charming interactions with Jane and painting it to look like he was a pussy by showing when he got slapped but cutting out his completely stoic and unfazed reaction immediately after. You know, this is the first Thor movie where Taika Waititi was allowed to write as well as direct, and it fucking shows. With Ragnarok, he was only allowed to direct while somebody else wrote the script, which is why Thor Ragnarok isn't completely unbearable to watch. You see, the first Thor movie was directed by Kenneth Branagh, who also directed Hamlet, which actually explains a lot.
Shakespeare in the Park?
Doth mother know you weareth her drapes?
And the second Thor movie was directed by Alan Taylor, who also directed Terminator Genesis, which also explains a lot. But when Marvel wanted to take Thor in a new direction, they brought along Taika Waititi, an eccentric and creative director who likes to get real close with his actresses. Sure, Rita, y'all were just let loose, alright. And when his first Thor movie became a critical and global success, they gave him even more creative freedom over the next one, a decision they would soon come to regret. But let's get back to the movie. Taika Waititi is also the voice of Korg, so metatextually, it's as if Taika is retroactively using his own mouth and hands to systematically break down the character of Thor for his own sadistic and malicious purposes. We're supposed to be uplifting the boys, bro. We don't bring them down.
I ride for my guys, that's the bro code.
What are you doing, man? L move, Taika. L move. This is actually very fucked up. Not only did they refuse to show any of Thor's cool moments from the Avengers movies or any of his charismatic and stoic interactions with Jane, they made sure to show us all his pathetic fat boy scenes. Then immediately after they showed us his body transformation, the very next scene is a shot of Thor crying for literally no reason at all. At this point, I feel like this movie's primary aim is to completely warp our internal perceptions of Thor and all his appearances in the MCU. Because, I'm not even joking, immediately after we see Thor all bulked up, shredded and and doing some actual manly shit. The very next scene is a shot of him crying his eyes out with no explanation whatsoever. So fucking weird. We finally get to the Guardians of the Galaxy that the Russos, directors of the best movies in the MCU, paired the God of Thunder with at the end of Endgame, a decision that they clearly didn't run by James Gunn, director of the most self-contained trilogy in the MCU and newest leader of the DCU, or Taika Waititi, savior and destroyer of Thor and soon to be destroyer of Star Wars, because neither of them wanted anything to do with that plot direction, evident by the fact that Taika literally got rid of them 30 minutes into his Thor movie, and James never even mentioned Thor once in his holiday special or third Guardians movie. So much for all that fan hype around the infamous as Guardians of the Galaxy team up.
Well, as Guardians of the Galaxy back together again.
The narration ends with a somewhat seamless transition into a scene where Peter and Mantis come to ask Thor for his assistance in a battle they are currently fighting. So, Thor uproots Stormbreaker from where he buried it and rises it out of frame, presumably into battle like a magical witch from a late 90s feature-length Disney animation. The majestic and all-powerful weapon that slayed the mighty Thanos not once but twice and rivaled the combined strength of all 6 Infinity Stones. Yeah. It's just a toy for Thor to bury, ride and play with now. No big deal. It's not like Thor risks his life and bets the fate of the entire universe on the creation of this god-tier weapon, so he should be treated with the utmost reverence and respect. What could possibly make you think that? Look at him go. Thor's the witch now, don't you know? Of course, have the funniest crew made of the funniest characters in the entire MCU and have them make zero jokes as they shoot lasers in front of what is very clearly a poorly designed soundstage in a warehouse in California. Why the hell not?
For this film, Thor Love and Thunder, we used the volume.
Yup, we could tell. Actually though, Rocket, the biggest wisecracking asshole in this universe, has zero memorable jokes or lines in this movie and it's not even funny. Hilarious characters like Mantis and Drax just fade away into the background like they are not the funniest duo in the MCU. Star-Lord tries his best with the material he's given, but even Chris Pratt's charm can't resurrect this horribly written script. Just an all-round waste of talent for no reason at all. Thor lands on the battlefield and Star-Lord follows shortly behind, even though Thor flew on Stormbreaker and Star-Lord had to climb all the way down that hill. Alright. Thor speaks to a weird-looking blue guy, and we get our first hint at God's murderous rampage when he tells us that their god was murdered. Would have been cool to start the movie showing God actually killing this particular god in glorious fashion instead of giving us an opening narration whose sole purpose was to completely humiliate our protagonist. But sure, tell, don't show. That's how it's done, right? I mean, I'm not a fucking Hollywood director. What the fuck do I know? After giving a less than uplifting and very unnecessary speech, he calls Stormbreaker, even though he literally rode it into battle. But sure, I guess he just packed it in the soil when he landed or something. Thor does a very, very fake looking and narratively impractical forward backflip, something that is completely out of character for Thor, looks entirely like it was done on wires and achieves nothing because he just kills a few guys then runs and jumps again to kill another one, when he could have just done one big jump and taken them out with the very same lightning strike move he uses after playing around and doing flips for no reason. The God of Thunder does his splits for some reason, makes this face and proceeds to do more pointless dancing when he should be trying his absolute best to quickly and efficiently eliminate the threat at hand with minimal civilian casualties and property damage. Remember when Thor used to fight in battle like a respectable warrior who still had his dignity and poise? Yeah, that was fun. You know, I really should go rewatch those movies instead. Why am I rewatching this movie again? Oh yeah, money! Thor then immediately flies through and destroys their entire temple from top to bottom just to get to the bad guys at the top, when he could have just flown directly to the top and blasted them away with lightning. But I guess Thor is just an inconsiderate dumbass now for no reason, so that's fun. Plus, these are the goofiest looking alien bad guys in the entire MCU and I can bet you that shit was intentional. Why the fuck do they look like a mixture between the ugliest rat and the ugliest bird, but with legs? They also keep saying classic Thor adventures.
What a classic Thor adventure. Hurrah!
Like they're in an episode of Rick and Morty.
Jerry, come on. We gotta go. You gotta come with me, Jerry.
Rick?
It's important, Jerry. It's a Rick and Jerry adventure. Rick and Jerry episode. Oh, Morty, take a deep breath. Breathe that fresh air in, Morty. You smell that? That's the smell of adventure, Morty. So now we're gonna have to go get more. And then we're gonna go on even more adventures after that, Morty. And you're gonna keep your mouth shut about it, Morty. Everybody fuck off. Morty, I need your help. We need to go on a quick adventure. You said I could go to school today. Let's go. In and out. 20 minutes adventure.
Which further validates the Jerry Smith comparison I made at the start of the video, and I don't know how to feel about that. I don't think I like where this is going. What are you doing, Taika? What's going on? We get another seamless transition that introduces us to cancer-ridden Jane Foster, who hasn't been seen in the MCU since the last time she was terminally ill in a piece of shit Thor movie. Yeah, I told you. Repetition is par for the course with these guys. We get to meet cute glasses girl from WandaVision, the other Thor movies, and the 40-year-old virgin for some reason. She's still thick as fuck, so that's nice. Jane makes some poorly written cancer jokes about the fact that she has stage 4 cancer and is literally about to die. Thick glasses girl, whose name I definitely remember but intentionally refuse to use, saves the scene and makes me smile with some actually charming and humorous acting. Anyway, I'm sure these jokes she's making about her cancer won't be detrimental to the emotional crux of this movie moving forward, and it definitely won't neutralize the emotional weight of whatever it is they try to do at the end of this film. There's no reason to think that. Jane does some cancer science on her computer. We get a cameo from Eric Selvig. I'm just never not going to remember that name. And he tells Jane her cancer is still cancering, then fucks off to go be in a better movie. Before we move on, I want to show you guys something. Look at this woman right now. Look at her non-existent height, her frail size, and her puny stature. This movie wants us to believe that she's about to be an equal to Thor, an equal to the freaking god of thunder himself, and quite possibly maybe even be a better Thor than Thor ever was. When all that madness starts erupting, I want you guys to remember this shot and hold on tightly to your disbelief. But actually though, what is she, like 5'2"? It's like she actually shrunk in size between the last few movies. I remember her being more vertical than this in her last MCU appearance, but whatever. Jane reads in a book about how Mjolnir is now this one-stop shop for high stamina, great health, furious orgasms, and can now be wielded by literally anybody, not just the god of thunder, and definitely no longer requires its wielder to be worthy because fuck Odin and his boomerang's magical enchantments, am I right? By the way, remember this fucking book, it will be important later. Cut to New Asgard and we get to meet our new king of Asgard. Wow, Odin will be so fucking disappointed. She seems to not be having the time of her life ruling over Asgard, but come on, has Valkyrie ever really smiled in these movies? No, so who's to say? We finally get a glimpse at the infamous Infinity Cones. Such a great idea to make an in-universe joke about the thing that was used to wipe out half of your people and half of the rest of the universe. Definitely not insensitive or distasteful at all. Great work, Taika. Great work. They will immediately get a pointless recreation of a classic scene from Ragnarok, simply because Taika wants a pointless recreation of a classic scene from Ragnarok in his new movie. The Critical Drinker did a perfect breakdown of these two scenes and showed us just how pointless the recreation was. Essentially, the original scene was effective enough to further the plot by leading the two brothers to Earth to find their father and eventually encounter Hela, the main villain of the film. It developed the characters by showing Loki's ever-expanding ego and the level of Thor's growth and wisdom that he has acquired as a result of his travels. It does some ingenious world building by showing us the current state of Asgard and the 9 realms his Loki took control, and still manages to make the audience laugh, while the recreation serves no purpose whatsoever and only exists to remind us how much of a better movie Ragnarok was. The recreation also makes no fucking sense because we'll see a prop being used normally in one shot, then in the very next shot, that same prop is now elaborately hooked up to wires in a very fixed position and is being manipulated by the crew behind the scenes for dramatic effects. Meanwhile, just a second ago, there were literally no wires attached to it and the prop was moving very independently in 3-dimensional space, free of external control. Take a look.
An ominous portal hath appeared behind us.
Transform!
Right.
Join me or die!
We'll never join you, witch! Well, no.
I'm sorry, but am I watching WandaVision right now? Is Wanda making reality-altering changes to the movie in real time and splicing scenes together without anybody's knowledge? What is this? Wow, so this is crazy. We move on to the next shot and it picks up right where the previous shot left off. So that means that the recreation scene could have been cut out in its entirety and this movie wouldn't have been affected even a little bit. Anyway, Jane appears out of nowhere, says that Mjolnir's broken pieces for a bit. Then they just start vibrating for some reason as the weather gets cloudy. Again, Taika, what the fuck have you shown us that makes Jane Foster worthy to lift Thor's hammer and rub shoulders with the likes of Vision and Cap? What? Was that Taika? Nothing you say? Fuck Cap, Vision, and Thor? This is Jane's time to shine? Oh, okay. Great. Right when we think we might at least get a cool extended lightning stop scene to look at, because we literally haven't gotten one of those up close and personal since the first Thor movie. We cut right back to Thor and his band of inconsequential background characters. He gets his screaming ghost from the comics, so the movie is now even more comic accurate, and we all know a movie can be classified as trash or criticized for being a literal piece of shit if it is comic accurate, because if anybody complains about anything in the movie, like how annoyingly unfunny the screaming ghosts get after a while.
As is tradition, the protectors of our world are bestowed with great beasts.
You can just easily dismiss them by saying, chill out bro, it's from the comics. It still pisses me off how much of an actual background character Mantis is in this movie. But at least they didn't completely assassinate her character or any of the other Guardians while they were here, so I guess we have that. We get a distress call alerting the crew about God's apparent killing spree that we'll never get to see. There are too many people in need of help and now the Guardians have a reason to split up, leave the movie for good and quietly go back to their corner of space where James Gunn can peacefully pick them back up and write their next aggressively self-contained adventure for Guardians 3. It's crazy that they never once mentioned any of the victims of God's rampage that they allegedly allegedly went to help in the third Guardians movie, or even in the Christmas special. They just buy out of nowhere, get a new spaceship, and act like they didn't just spend the last few weeks, if not months, hanging out with the literal god of thunder. Boy, James Gunn really doesn't fuck with the greater MCU at all, does he? This movie still has the weirdest shot-to-shot transitions because immediately Thor sees his last remaining friend from his first movie. He rallies the crew to go save her, turns around, wears his jacket, and walks away from the Guardians. Then Star-Lord suggests they split up because they have too many people to save. Thor immediately stops in his tracks. Star-Lord turns around and Thor starts deflating like a fucking balloon. No, really, listen.
I don't know, maybe we should split up. So many people to save. I mean, look at all of this distress calls.
They're all still in the ship at this point, but the very next shot is of Star-Lord walking out of the ship to meet Thor, who is standing outside, as if he walked out after him and Star-Lord had a slight off-screen disagreement about splitting up, and he has been out there for a while, clearing his head as Star-Lord comes to check on him. Only, we don't get to see what the fuck happens in between. We just get a shot of Thor deflating in the ship like a fucking cartoon character, then Star-Lord walks out of the ship to come meet him. Just look at this shit.
Thor, you gonna be okay?
I admire your commitment to each other.
Again, what the fuck? Did this Scarlet Witch did this movie on a fucking iPhone, or you guys just fucking with us? Anyway, Star-Lord proceeds to give Thor this dumbass speech about how he still doesn't know who the fuck he is. And Thor bitches and moans about why love sucks, as if he's a nerdy little teenage boy that just got rejected by the hottest girl in school when he had zero chances of ever being with her to begin with. No fucking way. Did they really try and turn Thor into Morty in this fucking movie? First, they turn him into Jerry, now they're turning him into Morty, who's essentially a younger version of Jerry. You couldn't turn Thor into Rick, or even Bird Person, because at least then he'd still be fucking stoic. Now, these Rick and Morty similarities are getting very, very scary. What the fuck is going on, Taika? Then Thor tries to make jokes about him needing to separate from the Guardians for the good of the galaxy and how attached they've all grown to him.
Thor, you gonna be okay?
I admire your commitment to each other. It's a beautiful thing. But last is something I'll never have.
Buddy, if I may.
You may.
After thousands of years of living, you don't seem to know who the hell you are. I've been lost before. But then I found meaning, I found love.
It hits hard, Morty, then it slowly fades, leaving you stranded in a failing marriage.
I have loved before. It didn't work out. They either die a grismal death or they dump you with a handwritten letter. I don't know which is worse, but it's why I keep everyone at arm's length.
Right.
So you've grown too attached, damn it. I knew this would happen. You must go. I'll find Sif.
Let's go.
You answer the other calls. The galaxy needs its guardians.
Cool, yeah, we were just leaving.
I know it hurts, but it's better this way. You have to trust me.
Gonna cry?
To ease the pain, why don't you, take this ship here as a parting farewell gift?
Oh, you're giving me my ship?
Yes, she's yours.
The whole thing's supposed to be funny, but it just comes off as cringe and pointless. We know who the fuck Thor is. Thor is the rightful king of Asgard. After being cast away and forced to find himself in the first movie, then literally abandoning the throne at the end of the second movie to go find himself again. Then after losing his dad and almost completely losing his kingdom as well, he found out he actually wants to be king at the end of the last Thor movie, just because his character was regressed in Endgame, leading him to doubt himself and foolishly give his kingdom away to Valkyrie, so he can run off with the Guardians and go figure out who the fuck he is again. Doesn't necessarily mean he then now doesn't know who the fuck he is, Taika. Or at the very least, doesn't mean he should blindly follow the trend of having Thor find himself again for the 5th fucking time. Jesus Christ. And Thor doesn't give a fuck about love or some scrawny ass insignificant cancer-ridden bitch from his past. He's literally got bigger fucking problems than that. We know this for a fact because in the single greatest Thor scene in the entirety of the MCU, as he was explaining all the things he had lost to Rocket Raccoon, Jane Foster never crossed his fucking mind. So this incredibly new and fallacious rhetoric that's being pushed on us, the audience, trying to paint Thor as this love-stricken puppy that can't function without Jane Foster is very disturbing to listen to.
Jane?
Okay, here we go. Hey, Jessica?
What's up, Morty?
You okay?
It's a little hot and starting to feel it's claustrophobic with the
2 plus 2.
Jessica.
5 plus 5.
Jessica.
Quite a reunion, huh?
you're telling me.
What's it been, like 3, 4 years?
8 years, 7 months, and 6 days. I haven't forgotten.
Wow. Did you just come into the cafeteria through a portal?
Yeah, well, you know, my Ferrari's in the shop. Just kidding.
You're Morty, right?
Yeah. You can get his number later. Come on, Morty. We gotta get out of here.
I've been meaning to apologize. Sort of acting a little weird before. I just haven't really been myself lately, you know, kind of trying to figure out who I am, and
No, please, no more.
I just felt a little bit lost. And then all of a sudden, I see you dressed as me, and it was kind of.
Jessica. I want to die with Jessica.
I have loved before. It didn't work out. They either die a grismal death or they dump you with a handwritten letter.
Listen, Morty, I hate to break it to you, but what people call love is just a chemical reaction that compels animals to breed. It hits hard, Morty, then it slowly fades, leaving you stranded in a failing marriage. I did it. Your parents are gonna do it. Break the cycle, Morty. Rise above. Focus on science.
The last time I saw you, I didn't see you because you left.
It's kind of an oversimplification to say that I left.
Oh, no, you left. You did. You wrote me a beautiful handwritten letter. I should know I was there.
You weren't there,
I was.
actually, hence the note. And if you weren't there to see me leave, then maybe it was you that left.
Fair point.
What are you doing? Wait. Were you about to talk to her?
Well, I mean, I was thinking about it.
Dude, stay in your league. Look at how hot she is. You don't see me going to a bigger school in a wealthier district and hitting on their prettiest girl.
Gee, thanks, Brad.
I throw balls far. You want good words? Data language.
I just want to say that was very, very impressive what you did back there. It's, you and Mjolnir, you know.
Oh!
Yeah.
Wait for it.
Space dolphins.
What?
This, you should see them, space dolphins.
Oh, wow.
So, yeah.
Beautiful.
That other nigga, he a bozo.
Morty, that was a fast trial.
Jessica.
A bunch of us girls were gonna go skinny dipping later if you wanted to join. Actually, now. Really, we're gonna do it right now. This is the last conversation I'm having about it fully clothed.
Oh! No thanks. I'm assuming we maybe get together in our 40s?
Cool. Sounds hot. Bye.
That other nigga, he a bozo.
I'm tired of giving myself over to the idea of fate and trying to figure out what the universe wants from me. I want to live in the moment. I want to live like there's no tomorrow, throw caution to the wind. I want to be with you, Jane. What do you say?
I have cancer.
I'm sorry, what?
Hello?
Hey, Jessica, it's Morty from school.
Oh, hey, Morty. What's up?
I just want to say that you're really great. I know the timing never really worked out with us, but you're really great, and I wish I got to know you better.
Oh, I mean, that's a lot.
Oh, yeah, sorry. I guess I just...
No, I just wish you said it sooner.
Oh! What?
Yeah, I mean, being nervous is sort of selfish sometimes, you know?
Yeah, that's a great point.
Well, what are you doing tonight?
Tonight?
Yeah, do you, want to watch a movie or something?
Yeah, tonight. Sounds great. Holy shit! Holy shit!
How are you feeling?
Shitty.
How shitty?
Really shitty.
But I'm glad you called me. Maybe we can start over. Get it right this time.
Yeah, I'd like that.
You can't turn Thor and Jane into Morty and Jessica, Taika. You just can't. One is a prepubescent teenage boy, the other is a fucking 1,000-year-old space Viking. How the fuck are you drawing similarities between them? What are you doing? The Guardians live for their next movie. Thor waves goodbye, calls Stormbreaker, and arbitrarily changes his costume for no reason other than the fact that he's entering a new section of the movie and needs that to be reflected in his wardrobe. Remember when brand new costume changes were a natural development that came as a result of a plot progressing in a manner that elevated the stakes and called for a change in equipment and armor as a result of battle damage to said equipment and armor. Now our protagonist simply can be caught wearing the same outfit to two different battles, so he needs a quick makeover and wardrobe change before he can move on to the next mission. Fucking slay, king. If you want to hear me go more in depth on this rampant problem that's been plaguing the entire MCU as far back as phase 3, go watch this video when you're done. Thor makes it to his dying friend just in time to make some painfully unfunny jokes about her potentially making it to Valhalla or not. We cut to New Asgard where we see Mr. God Butcher unleashing some spooky faceless CGI shadow monsters in the streets for our heroes to fight. Yeah, this is the same thing I mentioned at the beginning of the video. I already broke this whole thing down in a previous video, so Instead of speeding past it, summarizing it or ignoring it altogether, I'll just insert the clip from that video here. I have more than enough examples to show you, but let's start with the straw that completely destroyed the camel's back. A scene in a movie that had me in stitches every single time my brain does me the horrible disservice of bringing it back to my recollection. I gave Spider-Man Far From Home a pass all those years ago, but I simply cannot sleep well at night until I bring this atrocity to your attention. So let's begin. There is a scene in Thor Love and Thunder that to this day makes absolutely no sense from a plot and character standpoint. The only metric of reasoning I can logically apply to this scene is that it was supposed to be a moment of comic relief. But just so I don't sound completely crazy, I'll explain the scene to you and allow you to come to your own conclusion, which by the time I'm done making my case will sound a whole lot like mine. We're about 30 minutes into the movie and there's already a second action scene, or as I like to call it, a horribly pointless CGI battle with horribly pointless faceless CGI monsters that does absolutely nothing to drive the plot or develop the characters and only serves as mindless entertainment to pad the runtime for no reason at all. Ah yes, true cinema. If Martin Scorsese were in his grave, he'd be rolling in it right about now. Thor enters the battle scene in what will go down in history as the most anticlimactic Bifrost arrival in the middle of a battle scene in the history of the MCU. I'm not going to go on a whole rant about how the Bifrost arrival scene used to mean something and how it was a pivotal moment that enkindled the fire of excitement in the audience. No, I'll save that for the rant section of this video. So let's carry on, shall we? Here's a quick MCU standard chit chat with Queen. Sorry, where are my manners? I mean, King Valkyrie. He finishes up his MCU standard quirky middle of a battle conversation that definitely isn't played out and is certainly not overused at this point. Then he does a little fighting and proceeds to kill a big dragon, but not really a dragon looking thing, in the most awkward way possible. Like, what exactly was that move? Is he in the middle of a ballet rehearsal? Why did he need to spin like that? And you can't even tell me he needed to gather momentum, because if you watch the scene closely, by the time he has done his full 360 ballerina spin, he stops dead in his tracks for a second before he throws the hammer, cutting off all the allegedly built up momentum that he needed right before he would have needed it the most. So all that axial rotation served no purpose at all besides trying to make him look cool, which it failed to do as well. The spin move is essentially all fashion and no function. It is the cause of all the world's major problems and I hate it more than anything else. But let's move on. He catches a quick glimpse of a new warrior using lightning in the battle and sees Mjolnir flying around him. He struggles to call his old hammer like a puppy dog because of course he does. I was of the impression that Mjolnir was a secret and mighty weapon that was forged in the heart of a dying star and was made particularly to be a suitable companion for a king, to be used in times of war as a weapon to destroy and in times of peace as a tool to build, whose power knows no equal. But sure, I guess now we can just be a pet dog and a throwaway plot device to be used in a love triangle between Thor and Stormbreaker. Didn't you hear? The writers never have enough time to watch the movie or TV show that directly precedes and directly affects the story of the project they are currently working on. But I'm sure with that writer strike that's going on right now, they'll have more than enough time to catch up. And keep in mind, I haven't been able to rewatch this movie since I saw it in cinemas almost a year ago, because 2 minutes of runtime can't go by without me simultaneously complaining about 5 different things in the movie. Something I'm sure is very evident by this point in the video with how much criticism I've levied against a scene that I am less than 2 minutes into breaking down.
Why are you destroying our planet?
I have no choice.
So this might as well be the first time I'm watching all these minute faults that add up to become this pile of horse manure of a movie. The fact that they are so obviously noticeable upon a simulated first glance is very troubling and says a lot about the structure of the MCU as a whole. But let's stick to one problem per video, and don't worry, I haven't forgotten about the original objective of this scene breakdown. We'll get to the costume part soon enough. The movie just keeps giving me new material to work with and I simply cannot slide past them without thoroughly tearing them apart. That would be a great disservice to both myself and you, the viewer. Mjolnir pays no attention to Thor's derogatory advances because it has more self-respect than that. Then we begin to bear witness to the biggest, most degrading and humiliating insult that has ever been dished out to a titular character in his own movie. In a scene that could very well win the Oscar for the most disrespectful moments in a movie, we see Mjolnir flying towards Thor after tearing through another obscure dragon, but not really a dragon looking CGI monster. Thor reaches out to catch the beloved hammer that we have watched him proudly wield in battle time and time again throughout the course of the MCU. The same hammer that has saved him and got him out of tricky situations on several occasions. The same hammer that might as well be his birthright and the key, or at least sole remaining artifact that signifies his royal and sovereign authority over his people as their king. We'll get into how the decision for the character of Thor to abandon his people to go find himself for the millionth time was an utterly brainless one in another video. As I said before, one problem per video, but for now, we'll glance right through it. He reaches out to grab his signature weapon which was destroyed in the previous movie. It's almost in his hands, he can practically feel it, and it immediately flies back to its new owner, the female Thor.
The name is Mighty Thor!
Sorry, I mean Mighty, the mighty Thor. The level of pain I felt when I saw that scene in the trailer was enough to make a grown man cry. The level of emasculation this scene alone did to Thor as a character was more than enough damage to nullify whatever cool points he had left over from his last moments of awesomeness in Infinity War. But wait, no, the scene isn't over just yet. As if it wasn't enough to humiliate Thor in a scene in his own movie, they had to use that same scene to show you how much better his replacement is than him after only 24 hours with his own hammer that he has had for thousands of years as an experienced battle-reading warrior and a literal Norse god, small g. Because of course, a weak, frail, skinny, 5'3" white woman that literally has cancer has probably never done any hard labor with heavy equipment in her life or experienced any sort of hand-to-hand combat training with a weapon before is absolutely light years better than the literal, mythical, small g god of thunder with his own weapon. He walks up to her and tells her that she has his hammer and she's wearing his costume. She ignores him and continues to use his hammer, which he no longer has control over for some reason, because when Captain America wielded it in Endgame, Thor definitely had no control over Mjolnir back then as well. So either the movie is telling you that a skinny white woman with cancer has a stronger hold on Mjolnir than Captain freaking America, Super Soldier and First Avenger, or Thor is just less powerful now for no reason despite being in better shape than he was in Endgame. Either one you pick, both options take you back to the exact same iconic clip from Deadpool 2.
Well, that's just lazy writing.
After taking a blow to his ego for no longer being the only one to wield his original hammer and wear his classic costume, he immediately feels insecure, and in a shot that will forever cement my lack of respect for the MCU amongst many others of course, Thor, the mythical, stoic, feared and revered small g god of thunder, self-consciously calls lightning to manufacture himself a brand new colorful suit for no other reason other than to fix his insecurities about not being the special one in his own movie anymore and boost his confidence. Literally minutes after he just arbitrarily manufactured his previous brand new costume with lightning as well. A suit that, mind you, is still perfectly in perfect shape, not battle torn, not battle ridden, not damaged at all. So as dumb as an excuse as that would be, you can't even tell me that Thor made a new suit just because his old one got damaged. This scene, this poorly edited, insufficiently lit, abominably rendered and insultingly acted scene is the reason I had to finally make this video, because this brand new costume problem has gotten completely out of hand. Again, let's ignore the blatant assassination of Thor's character in this scene and focus on the costume situation, because one problem per video. I'm not in the business of making 1 hour long video essays just yet. Remember when Thor's lightning suit up scene meant something? Remember when he used to evoke deep emotions of excitement and intense anticipation within the audience? Remember when he used to represent a pivotal moment in whatever story he was in, how it was only used to show the climax of the growth of Thor's character and his story arc in whatever movie or scene he was in? Well, now he just uses it to deal with his insecurities and give himself a brand new, shiny outfit so he can feel special and important within his own movie again.
Oh God! Why didn't anybody tell me?
And Thor 4 isn't the only movie that has this problem. Not all of them do as much of a disservice to their plot and characters with the introduction of brand new suits as Thor 4 did, but I'm essentially using it to piggyback and narratively hold together an excuse for me to rant about all the pointless new costumes in most of the superhero movies we've gotten in recent years. And with that out of the way, I officially welcome you to the rant section of this video. Alright, we're back. Jane removes her horrible nanotech mask helmet looking thing, which by the way, when the fuck did Asgardians get nanotech? When the mystical lightning magic started incorporating nanotech into its spring fashion collection? Do you guys even care about world building anymore, or do you just want to look cool? Well, you failed on both both ends, so congrats. Thor's jaw drops as he sees Jane because fuck stoicism, am I right? He holds this dumbass expression for some time as she stares at him like the bimbling dumbass that he is. And we get another fucking narration from the man, the myth, the legend. Taika, I'll ruin your mythos in a minute, baby. Waititi himself. Nothing too crazy in this particular narration, just your standard character assassination and humiliation. Disguised as a poor attempt to retcon in some relationship flashback scenes between Thor and Jane. In one of these flashbacks, Thor casually tells Mjolnir to promise him that it will always protect Jane, because I guess Mjolnir is fucking sentient now, so that's nice. That's essentially their dumbass explanation for why Jane can lift Thor's hammer now, which is just immensely foolish, to put it lightly.
I need you to promise me you'll always protect her. And I love you too, buddy.
And love that deep has a way of becoming magical.
So, you want to tell me that the casual conversation Thor had with his hammer while he was in a fucking hot dog Halloween costume has more fucking authority than an enchantment that was passionately and purposefully placed upon the same hammer by Odin, the fucking All-Father and King of Asgard, after he banished Thor to Midgard? You're telling me that a nigga named Odin's son has more power and authority than fucking Odin himself? Fuck out of here with that shit, nigga. There's a joke Thor makes in the movie Thor Ragnarok about Doctor Strange failing to contact him via electronic mail concerning his father being on Earth. Doctor Strange asks him if he has a smartphone and Thor says no, what for? Or something along those lines. Just watch the clip.
If you knew where he was, why didn't you call me?
I have to tell you, he was adamant that he not be disturbed. Your father said he had chosen to remain in exile. And you don't have a phone.
No, I don't have a phone, but you could have sent the electronic letter. It's called an email.
Yeah, do you have a computer?
No, what for?
The point is, as of Thor Ragnarok, Thor confirms that he doesn't have a smartphone. So, what the fuck is this scene? Why is Thor holding a fucking smartphone? Also, according to the timeline of these flashbacks, as confirmed by a conversation between Thor and Jane from later on in the film.
Quite a reunion, huh?
You're telling me.
What's it been, like 3-4 years?
8 years, 7 months, and 6 days.
Nick Fury wouldn't be calling or even fucking contacting Thor in any way at this point because this is happening 8 years ago, right? So, these flashbacks are apparently set between Thor 2 and Age of Ultron. Well, immediately after Thor 2, Captain America 2 happens. So, Nick Fury wouldn't be organizing, reaching out to, spearheading, or even leading anybody or anything because he would technically be dead because of the events of Captain America the Winter Soldier. You know, when it was revealed that S.H.I.E.L.D. had been infiltrated by Hydra for decades and was disbanded at the end of the movie, with characters like Nick Fury and Natasha Romanoff going into hiding because all their dirty, yucky, bloody secrets were revealed on the internet, along with all of S.H.I.E.L.D's top secret files and data assets in an attempt to further expose Hydra and neutralize any residual power or influence they might have. So Taika, why the fuck is Nick Fury calling Thor? Did you not watch fucking Captain America the Winter Soldier? And again, why does Thor have a fucking phone? Did you not watch the last Thor movie that you fucking directed yourself? What the fuck? Great, they even managed to retcon Thor as being a dumbass even before Ragnarok because he stupidly opens the Bifrost in the middle of the restaurant when he gets the call from Nick Fury like a retard instead of just walking outside like a sane person. No wonder the UN wanted everybody to sign those fucking accords. So, in one flashback scene, they managed to undermine Odin's authority, ruin a perfectly funny joke from Ragnarok, and completely discredit the events of one of the best movies in the entire MCU. This scene breaks the world building around the character of Thor so bad you guys don't even fucking know. And we're only 30 minutes into this 2-hour fucking movie. Great work, Taika. Great fucking work. You're really a man of your fucking word, aren't you?
Jane wrote a note, and Thor read that note.
Of course, Jane is the one who dumps Thor because it totally makes sense that the person that is earthbound is the one that abandons the person that is spacebound and can fly and fucking teleport and has the weight of literally the entire universe on his shoulders. That definitely makes all the sense in the world. You know, I'm really starting to believe that Taika is actually trying his best to make Thor as big of a bitch as he must believe he is, because what the actual fuck are all these awful character changes? A 6'2" space Viking that can literally fly and teleport instantly got dumped and abandoned by a 4'2" science nerd with cancer. Really, dude? Really? Okay, it's your fucking movie, nigga.
It's a little hot and starting to feel it's claustrophobic with the helmet.
Again, just the most unnecessarily dramatic reactions I've ever seen. Chill out, nigga. I'm assuming he's utterly flabbergasted, not just because he hasn't seen Jane in a while, but because she's wearing his armor and carrying his hammer. Which makes no sense because the movie literally just showed us that he's the reason she's able to leave the hammer in the first place. So, are they saying that Thor didn't know what he was doing when he placed the new enchantment on his hammer that apparently supplants Odin's original one? Or do they just need to take advantage of every single opportunity to make Thor look like as much of a fucking pussy as possible? What was that, Taika? The answer is yes to both questions. Fuck Thor and all his dead homies, you say? Oh, okay. Great. Also keep in mind that for the rest of the movie, Thor never acknowledged that he was the one that placed a new enchantment on the hammer that allowed Jane to wield it. They literally just wrote it so that he either didn't know what he was doing, or he just forgot and he fully accepts the fact that she's able to wield the hammer now for no reason, without even questioning her or investigating it. So fucking weird. Anyway, Jane dismisses Thor to focus on the battle because, of course she does. Thor sees Gore in the distance. Then after a few poorly rendered VFX shots and a lazily executed jump scare, they start fighting.
Pain. What is pain? The construct invented by the weak. Okay, the first.
I don't know why God doesn't just kill Thor the way he killed his own god and take Stormbreaker, because we all know that's what he really wants. But he just stands there and engages Thor in a pointless conversation for no reason when he has a perfectly clean shot to his neck. The plot armor is truly strong with this one. Or this is just another plot contrivance for no reason at all. Jane, Thor and Valkyrie all ambush Gore, so he retreats, kidnaps the kids and literally escapes into the night because my man works with shadows. When the Guardians get their distress call, there's a counter on their screen that shows that Gore has killed over 1,000 fucking gods. He has killed 1,500 fucking gods, but he can't face 2 gods at once? Bro, you've killed 1,000 fucking gods and you run away when a god, a pretend god and a fucking Valkyrie corner you? Sure, why not? You gotta go set up the end of the movie now, don't you? Thor and Jane then have a conversation where they manage to make the fact that Jane dumped Thor his fault and his doing, because apparently, from her perspective, he left her first and he was never going to come back. So she tried to leave and move on with her life. But the movie fucked up because they made her write him a note before she left, which neutralizes her entire argument completely. Because if her justification for leaving him was the fact that he left her first, and she truly believed that he would never come back for some reason, then why the fuck did she leave him a note before she left? She obviously knew he was going to come back, so she can't even try and pin their breakup on him because she's the one that left him, not the other way around. This is just a poor attempt to gaslight both the fans and Thor at the same time. It didn't work, Taika. I can see through all your fucking bullshit. Those flashbacks completely ruined Thor as a character, destroyed several layers of world building in the MCU almost 10 years back, and now the movie can't even agree on what really happened in those same fucking flashbacks we just saw less than 3 minutes ago. But I'm sure it can only get worse from here. She dismisses him again, leaving him alone to talk to himself because, of course she does. It's funny how the dynamics between these two has really been altered so drastically. If you look at the first 2 Thor movies, there's no scene with Jane and Thor where Jane isn't completely smitten by Thor's charming presence and bravado. I have no idea what that word means, but I like the way it sounds, so I'm leaving it in the script. Thor is aggressively calm and collected whenever he's around Jane, and she can barely keep herself together whenever he's around. She goes fucking batshit crazy whenever she thinks he's gone forever and will never come back, because she's very clearly more interested in him than he is in her, because of course she is. He's a fucking badass space Viking and she's a science nerd. He can fuck any Valkyrie or any alien bitch he wants, but he chooses to be with her, so she better fucking grovel at his feet. But now for some reason it's the other way around. Thor, the fucking god of thunder, can't compose himself around the fucking dumbass science nerd who can't even cure her own cancer, and this fucking 3'2" average looking white girl now acts like she's too cool to notice Thor's existence. Just the most plainly inconsistent character writing I've ever seen. What the fuck? Anyway, the people of Asgard gather in the town hall, obviously looking for answers, but Thor is too busy trying to call his old hammer when Stormbreaker slowly hovers towards him from behind, and Thor reacts like his girlfriend just caught him flirting with the waitress on date night. So I guess turning Thor into a love-obsessed loser wasn't bad enough. They have to first make his 2 hammers sentient. They add a fucking love triangle subplot between Thor, Mjolnir and Stormbreaker. Just the best kind of quality entertainment I love to see. After Stormbreaker stops him from trying to call Mjolnir, the son of Odin and rightful heir to the throne finally realizes that his people are all agitated and need his guidance. So he tries to give a speech, but they do that thing where the person giving the speech just says a bunch of generic nothing sentences as a joke, because motivational speeches like this all sound the same.
Anxious. If we are to find the children, we must first look within ourselves. And I'm sorry, Meek, it's...
Now, this would actually be fun if it wasn't a really serious moment filled with paranoia and uncertainty due to the fact that all the children just got fucking kidnapped, and if he wasn't the rightful king of Asgard giving this dumbass joke of a speech. He gets interrupted by Meek, awkwardly winks at Jane, promises to get the kids back, and flies through the roof of the town hall, foolishly destroying his 5th building in the fucking movie for no reason at all. He falls out of the Bifrost and crashes back down to earth, destroying even more public property. Apparently, Stormbreaker is throwing a tantrum because he's too jealous of Mjolnir, so it's refusing to function properly. Again, this kind of quality content I like to see. Thor goes back to the town hall and has the conversation he should have had with his team before aimlessly flying off to God knows where to try and get the kids by himself. He tells them about the Necro Sword and how he corrupts his victims, reinforcing what God's God said at the start of the film. So I guess we're sticking to this lame-ass generic excuse of an explanation that takes away Gore's agency and destroys the character motivation altogether. Axel's horribly rendered floating CGI head suddenly appears in front of them. He's the son of Heimdall, so he's able to do that thing Heimdall did in Ragnarok to help Thor see where he and the kids are. Thor spews some more unfunny dialogue, figures out where they are, gets back and tells the rest of the team. Keep in mind that Jane never says the word to Axel throughout this entire interaction. She's just a motionless blur in the background the whole time. This will be important later, much later. They decide to get some reinforcement from other gods in Omnipotent City because God is going to the Shadow Realm, a place where he will be the most powerful because my nigga literally moves in the shadows. Stormbreaker is still bitching, so Jane says some science mumbo jumbo and they decide to use the Thorist attraction ship as a conduit for Stormbreaker to channel his Bifrost energy. Creating a comic accurate image of Thor riding his two goats. As they prepare the ship for their travels, Thor tries to talk with Mjolnir. Its new owner walks by, so he has a conversation with Jane instead. Our formerly badass god of thunder is still obsessed with this 2'2" cancer bitch with fake CGI muscles, so he apologizes for being so insecure and acting weird around her because he's still trying to find himself, and seeing her in his armor with his old hammer threw him off a bit. Don't you just love it when they turn your protagonist into an absolute fucking shell of his former self for no reason at all? Because I know I do. He asked her how she and Mjolnir got together as if they were a couple in a relationship, and she said Mjolnir called to her so she came to investigate, which is a fucking lie because we all saw you reading that dumbass book that Mjolnir can give you great health. So you carried your scrawny ass down there to get that sweet insurance free Asgardian healthcare. But sure, change the narrative halfway into the movie because why the fuck not? I don't know how the American healthcare system works, by the way. I'm Nigerian, remember? So I don't really know if that joke works or not. See, I told you guys that book will be important for later. So it's either Taika is contradicting himself, Jane is lying, or the cancer is affecting her brain to the point where she just forgot how she got her powers. Either way, this movie makes no fucking sense. Again, he also doesn't acknowledge the fact that he might have played a part in why she's now able to leave the hammer, which is just great for continuity. But anyway, he finally left Mjolnir, so at least they didn't make him fucking unworthy on top of all the character assassination and humiliation they've been piling on his head since this movie started. Stormbreaker hovers over with an implied sense of sustained jealousy because of course it does. And we cut to Jane in a bathroom. You know, I will never get over the fact that Marvel tried to make a love triangle between Thor and his two thunder-wielding weapons in a movie called Thor Love and Thunder. You actually can't make this up. Jane walks into the bathroom, drops Mjolnir on the floor and reverts back to her feeble self because I guess Thor is just a costume she can put on and take off at will. She gets a flashback to her sick mom who we've never heard of or seen before, but alright. She apparently died of cancer and told younger Jane to never stop fighting. Then we cut back to Jane in the bathroom, and I truly don't know how this movie wants the audience to resonate with this scene when we have no emotional connection to her mother, and when we found out she had cancer. The movie made several unfunny jokes about it, then immediately gave her Thor's hammer. They didn't give the audience any reason to care about her cancer before, so why exactly does the film expect us to care now? This is just horrible build up to the equally horrible payoff that we all know is going to be Jane's death, because the setup was already fucked to begin with. You simply can't introduce something as emotionally pivotal to the story as cancer with jokes and still expect the emotional weight to remain the same. There's two ways you can do this and end up with both your jokes and the emotional weight at the end. Either you show us the cancer diagnosis and allow both the character and the audience to feel the emotional weight of what you just dropped on us, then the very next time it's mentioned or brought up, the movie can make a joke about it. Or you establish earlier on that the character that's going to get the diagnosis is a character that deals with pain with humor and regularly tries to gaslight themselves into thinking that everything's okay by telling jokes all the time. Romulus from Succession is a very good example of this. So when they do get the cancer diagnosis, you can have the character making jokes about it, either in denial or just trying to lighten the mood, or actively trying to gaslight themselves into thinking that everything is going to be okay and there's nothing to worry about. Then you bring in the emotional weight by having a character that's close to them, like a good friend or a favorite sibling. Immediately go and comfort them, allowing them to fully feel the weight of the bad news they just got, lowering their guard and breaking down as the audience breaks down with them as well. That is how you have your jokes and emotional weight at the same fucking time, Taika. Now, I'll be the first to admit that I wouldn't know the first thing to do if you told me to write you a script for the next big Hollywood blockbuster, but I didn't know a thing or two about setup, build up and payoff. So I can tell you with absolute certainty there's not going to mean anything when Jane dies at the end and the movie expects us to feel something, because they did nothing to set up the emotional weight behind her being terminally ill. So any form of build up they try to do on that flimsy ass premise throughout the movie just falls flat on his face, and the inevitable payoff that's definitely waiting for us at the end will leave the audience feeling nothing, because all the movie did was make jokes for 2 hours while refusing to take anything seriously. And now these fuckers expect us to give a fuck because why? It's the end of the movie? Nah, G, that ain't how this works, my guy. Well, in hindsight, they didn't get it right with God's daughter, so how would this be any better? We cut back to Cancer Jane. She calls Mjolnir, and by the time it reaches her hand, she's already wearing her Thor costume again, because apparently the armor is nanotech as well and can now disappear and reappear at will, independent of a full-on lightning suit-up sequence. Cool. She breaks the sink out of anger, presumably because of her feelings of powerlessness. Valkyrie comes to check on her. Jane expresses her doubts about her health, and Valkyrie says this:
You think I really should be coming? I'm not getting any better.
You're a Thor, of course you should come.
The fuck did you just say, bitch? She's a Thor? What? Because I guess Thor is now just a basic title that anybody can hold, like General, Avenger, Director, or CEO. Please, what is actually happening here? How does this movie keep finding new ways to further degrade the value of its own protagonist? You're a fucking Thor? Bitch, that's the son of Odin you're talking about. He's not one of several disposable Valkyries in a lineup like you. He's the one and only God of Thunder, and he can't be worn like a costume in a sad attempt to prop up new characters in the MCU that nobody asked for.
Boy, that escalated quickly. I mean, that really got out of hand fast.
This would be like if in the Winter Soldier, Black Widow just told Falcon, you are a Captain America. No, nigga, that's not how that works. You can say you are a super soldier because Steve is a super soldier and Captain America. The same way Steve and Bucky are both super soldiers, but only one of them is Captain America. I know they're currently trying to turn Sam Wilson into Black Captain Falcon America, but that's a whole different topic altogether, and that's definitely not my Captain America. A simple way to fix this scene would have been to have Valkyrie tell Jane, you are an Asgardian now, which would have made no fucking sense because she's a human being, and I don't think you can just become another species altogether. But it would have been much better and made so much more sense, or at least as much sense as you can have in a Sekawatiti Thor movie. The same way Steve didn't just magically become an Asgardian after I lifted Mjolnir in Endgame. You didn't see the Avengers calling him fucking Thor too now, did you? So why the fuck is it any different with Jane? In fact, I take it back, the best way to fix this scene would have been to just never give her the hammer in the first place. I don't give a fuck that they did it in comics. Don't fucking do it. Comics aren't always right, nigga. They even arbitrarily changed rules as well in those exact same comics to accommodate her. So I don't even respect the source material you're pulling from to begin with. Thor is a founding father. Character. Fuck. Thor is a founding character of the MCU. He's one of a kind. He's unique. There aren't multiple of him and there shouldn't be because he's a person. It would be like telling Miles Morales, oh, you are a Peter Parker now. That would make no fucking sense because Peter Parker is a person, not an idea, not a fucking title, and definitely not a fucking costume. I know there are some characters that share their names with other characters in the same universe, but unlike Thor, those were previously established as being titles, not names, titles to be passed on. Like how in the MCU there are multiple Black Widows because our Natasha Romanoff is part of a Black Widow program that produced multiple female spies. But there's only one Natasha, one fucking Natasha. Yelena isn't now just going around calling herself the new Natasha. She's a new Black Widow, not new Natasha. The Spider-Verse makes sense because it's multiple realities. In different realities, different characters became Spider-Man. Speaking of which, another simple way to fix this would have just been to make Jane Foster's Thor be from another universe, where for some reason all the heroes there are gender swapped. But the Thor from that universe just so happened to look like Jane, his girlfriend in our reality. But her name wouldn't be Jane, it would be fucking Thor because in that universe she is Thor. Then you can go on to make jokes about how everybody calls her Jane in the universe she comes to where she is Jane, not Thor. There's actually an infinite number of ways to fix this, but you can't do this, Taika. Thor is a person. You can't go around and start saying, oh, you're the new Taika, you're the new Weko. No, these are personal names, personal identities, not fucking titles or mantles to be passed on. To conclude this tangential rant, you can pass on the mantle of Spider-Man, but you can't pass on the mantle of Thor, the same way you can't pass on the mantle of Peter Parker. I can go on with several more examples, but you get the point. Let's get back to the movie. She tells Jane that she needs to die in battle so she can get into Valhalla, which I guess is supposed to be set up for the end of the movie and one of the horribly pointless post-credit scenes. That makes absolutely no fucking sense because Jane is a human being, not a god or an Asgardian, so she therefore has no business being in Valhalla. But I'm sure that silly little piece of world building isn't going to stop Taika from doing whatever the fuck he wants to do. The ship is all set, so it's time to leave. Thor gives another pointless and painfully unfunny speech to the people where he makes jokes about the Asgardians eating children in the past because it's obviously a sin to take anything seriously in this film. They get to Omnipotent City, park their ship, and walk down a long ass walkway for no reason. Jane and Thor have another one of their famously endearing conversations, and there's just nothing of substance here. I couldn't stop cringing throughout because this simply isn't my Thor. Whoever this pussy whipped clown ass nigga is, it's not my fucking God of Thunder.
So, you still rollerblading?
No. You?
Oh yeah, every weekend. Once you blade, you never fade. Right, Cog?
Skate mates for life.
Took me a long time to perfect it. You'll get there, you just need to practice.
Just my first bad guy.
You never forget your first.
This scene was so painful to watch. Jane flies away and Valkyrie confronts Thor about having feelings for Thor. He painfully fails to deflect in the unfunniest way possible and the scene ends, finally releasing me from his torturous grip. I find it crazy how this movie prides itself as being a comedy but hasn't managed to make me laugh even once. We cut back to the kids and Axel is telling them stories about the great and mighty Thor we once knew before he got replaced by what I can only assume and hope is a Skrull. You know, it would actually be great if the next time we see Thor, we just find out that he was replaced by a Skrull somewhere between Endgame and Thor 4. That would just be the best thing, but Marvel is too busy making bullshit TV shows that nobody asked for to attempt to do anything anywhere near as creative as that. So I'll just tell myself Thor is currently a Skrull just to try and make this viewing experience even a little bit bearable. Anyway, he's in the middle of telling some cool pre-Skrull Thor stories when he's interrupted by Gore as he emerges from the shadows behind him. Where was he when Thor's vision ghost visited the kids and found out their location? Don't know, and I'm pretty sure neither does the movie. He scares them a bit, talks about his daughter, whom we still have zero emotional connection to, so this does nothing for the audience, and reveals that he took the children as bait because he wants Thor to find him. You know, this would have been the perfect time to further develop Gore as a character and show us where his mind is at after he has apparently killed so many gods at this point. If you're not going to show us the bloody massacre, at least show us the aftermath and show us how it has affected our villain. If he's feeling guilty, if it's bringing him the catharsis and closure I'm assuming he thought he was going to get out of it, or if he's questioning his actions and motives because of how quickly he rushed into that dumbass vow of his. A reluctant and morally apprehensive villain would actually be very compelling to watch and easy to empathize with because we cannot relate to that feeling of regret or self-doubt when we feel like we made an impulsive decision and fuck things up even more as a result of our actions. But that's all too hard and uninteresting for Taika to do. Instead, we get to watch a great actor waste his talent by performing poorly written jokes while doing absolutely nothing for almost half the movie. We come back to Omnipotent City. The Thor Patrol gets some disguises to fit in. They make their way to the Golden Temple. Zeus makes a grand entrance. They find out all the gods might actually be dicks.
Where are we going to hold this year's orgy?
I'm your dad, Peter.
So now we're going to announce the winner of the most human souls sacrificed in the name of a god.
Well, that last one was just for shock value.
Okay, maybe he's not that great.
Oh no, not good.
No, I don't think it's gonna get any better than this. Look, these gods aren't gonna help, but that thunderbolt, I think that might be of use.
Thor tries to acquire Zeus' assistance in the fight against Gore. Zeus refuses to help because it's not his problem. Then he makes an orgy joke that actually makes me laugh.
Pretty boy, you go back to your seat and you be quiet.
I'm sorry, did you not hear any of what I just said? He's murdering en masse.
I tell you, one time, now you shut up. You be quiet, because you are this close to being uninvited to the orgy.
Zeus, we must do something.
You cannot come to the orgy.
You have to listen to us.
Oh lord, I don't know why that's so funny to me. Literally gets me every time. An orgy would be nice though. Anyway, Zeus then blows off all of Thor's clothes, revealing a Loki tattoo that may or may not be an Asgardian morning ritual. But the way it's portrayed as part of a throwaway joke definitely makes it seem more distasteful than I think was originally intended. Then again, this entire movie has just been one big distasteful pile of garbage, and I doubt any of that was expected or foreseen because this film definitely thinks it's the funniest thing ever made. Thor tries again to appeal to Zeus by telling him about the kidnapped children, and Zeus further elaborates that Gore is their problem, not his. He calls Zeus a little bitch, then Zeus calms down and confirms that he is in fact scared of getting killed by the Necro Sword. He reassures Thor that they are all safe here and that he needs to chill out and never talk back to Zeus again. So Thor requests to borrow his Thunderbolt instead, which is a dumbass name because he's the god of lightning. Why would his lazily designed weapon be called the Thunderbolt instead of the Lightning Bolt? Zeus does some more party tricks and denies his request. We then find out that God is trying to get to eternity, who is an all-powerful being at the center of the universe that will grant the desires of the first person who reaches it for some reason. Obviously, a guy called the God Butcher will wish for all the gods to die, which we simply haven't been shown or told why that would necessarily be a bad thing because all the gods we've seen, including these honey motherfuckers, have all been total dicks, and we've not seen why the existence of these mean gods is so important to the fabric of reality. But alright, Zeus tells us he won't make it to eternity because he doesn't have the key. The same key he could have killed Thor and gotten at the start of the movie in that CGI mess of a fight, but alright. Thor calls all the gods bitches and says he'll do it himself. Zeus tells him he can't leave because he has the location to their super secret spots and he could lead Gore back to them, so they have to stay. He sends his guard to restrain them, so now we have more disposable faceless CGI nothings for our heroes to fight. You know, realistically speaking, none of them should be able to make it out of here alive because there are only 4 of them and there are about 100 other allegedly very powerful gods surrounding them on all corners. Why the fuck aren't they just ambushing the 4 of them since their literal lives are at stake? Makes no sense at all. Makes no fucking sense. But you know, to take a TT Thor movie, what the fuck were you expecting, nigga? A cohesive narrative? Fucking dumbass. They have an insignificant fight scene with Zeus's very disposable CGI guards. Thor does a lot of primal caveman jumping and smashing for some reason. Valkyrie gets a fucking money shot scene because, you know. Then Zeus kills Korg with his lightning, thunderbolts. Korg's apparent last words are, and I quote, "Thor, I'm perishing." Evidently, this makes Thor very upset. Zeus, having had enough of their bullshit, throws his thunderbolt at Thor. He of course catches it and chucks it back at Zeus, seemingly killing the oldest and wisest god of them all. And I'm sure that's definitely not going to be completely undone in a post-credit scene. So, Korg is now dead, but because this is an MCU Phase 4 movie, written by Taika Waititi nonetheless, I kid you not, because they are fucking counted. 30 seconds after Korg was seemingly sent to an early grave, he's revealed to still be alive, well, and as jovial as ever. He suffers no real trauma or potential long-lasting effects from having literally just died, exhibiting no real change in attitude with regard to his perception of life and how fleeting it is. He's just a funny face that's now attached to the back of Valkyrie's head because it's still a sin to take anything seriously in this film. Not even fucking death, bro. But you know, that's not really a surprise now, is it? If the death of such a pivotal character in Thor's life wasn't going to mean anything or carry any weight, why fucking do it in the first place? What does the audience gain by seeing Thor's close friend of over 5 years die and immediately come back to life? How do you expect us to take anything seriously in this film when it treats literally everything that happens as a joke? The voice of Taika Waititi calls in the goats. Valkyrie goes to get the thunderbolts and... Again, what the fuck is this forward backflip bullshit that everybody keeps doing? Is this supposed to look cool or just straight up break all the laws of physics and calisthenics? It's goofy as fuck. Stop, do some normal flips, please. You know, there's something really unsettling about seeing Thor change costume so casually and effortlessly in this movie. It just dilutes and ruins the fundamental aspect of being a superhero. I can't quite put my finger on it, but the best thing I can compare it to would be when Tony took away the suit from Peter in Homecoming. Remember how pivotal that was to the story? How he had to calm down a bit and appreciate what he already had instead of constantly trying to be something greater, then eventually making things work with what he had at his disposal. Now, imagine if Peter just went home and got himself an even better suit without going through any trials, learning any lessons about contentment or proving himself in any way. Or remember how in Iron Man 3, when Tony was stranded far away from all his tech and only had one barely functioning suit that he had to struggle to charge throughout the movie, all the while coming up with ingenious ways to solve his problems and achieve his goals without access to any of his signature suits for assistance. Now, imagine if he had immediate access to his entire army of brand new suits throughout the movie and faced zero obstacles when it came to damage regarding his suit because he could just magically get a new one almost instantly. Yeah, doesn't feel right, does it? Imagine how much worse those two movies would be if the characters just immediately had access to brand new suits the moment things got inconvenient for them. That's exactly how I feel every time I see Thor get a quick stress-free costume change in this movie. Obviously to a much lesser degree because Thor doesn't entirely rely on his suit for majority of his abilities like Tony and Peter do. But the way Thor just has access to an infinite number of perfectly designed brand new suits certainly spits in the face of clearly more superior movies that came before it, and fully disregards standard principles like the less of something you have, the more valuable it is, and the best way to tell a compelling story being to give your character some limitations and struggles, not infinite fucking resources.
And then the GoPro came in, it rescued us, and we flew out the window. The end. Another classic Thor adventure.
Shut the fuck up, nigga. This isn't Rick and Morty.
Why does he have to go over there?
Random check. He's got to go through the new machine.
What new machine?
It's a new machine. It detects stuff all the way up your butt.
Run, Morty! Run! Jerry, come on. We gotta go. You gotta come with me, Jerry.
Rick?
It's important, Jerry. Let's go. In and out. 20 minutes adventure. So now we're gonna have to go get more. And then we're gonna go on even more adventures after that, Morty. And you're gonna keep your mouth shut about it, Morty. Oh, Morty, take a deep breath. Breathe that fresh air in, Morty. You smell that? That's the smell of adventure, Morty. Everybody fuck off. Morty, I need your help. We need to go on a quick adventure.
You said I could go to school today.
It's a Rick and Jerry adventure. Rick and Jerry episode.
Whoa. You guys don't know how much I wish I could be watching Rick and Morty instead right now. Fuck. So they escape and Thor pays another Vision Ghost visit. Ghost Vision visit? Vision Ghost visit. He pays another Ghost Vision visit to the kids, and again, where the fuck is Gore during these visits? I actually like this scene because Thor manages to instill some hope in the kids, reassuring them that he's, on his way to save them, reminding them to stick together and praising them for being as brave as they have been so far, while simultaneously entertaining them with a story that's taking their minds off the fact that they are in a cage trapped by a madman and he has no real plan to save them. This scene actually started to make me smile until Taika Waititi fucked it up by trying to unnecessarily insert his dumbass obstructive style of humor into the scene. Axel as a character is actually quite chill. Although I wish I could have got to know more about him, being the son of Heimdall and all. I wish we could see how the death of his father affected him, how he's handling living under the shadow of such a feared and respected god. Too bad we have no more space to properly characterize Axel, Gore, Jane, and even Valkyrie because we just had to fit in all those painfully unfunny jokes and unnecessary brand new costume changes. Such a shame. I don't know if the writing of this movie is actually getting better, or if it was those short Rick and Morty clips I just watched that lifted my spirits, lowered my guard, and made me more susceptible to this movie's tricks, making me believe that Skrull Thor is actually now more charismatic than he really is. But I actually laughed at this dumbass Stormbreaker joke when he sparked as Thor was complimenting Zeus's weapon.
It's sleek, it's slender, it's powerful, it's beautiful. For you, I love it for you, Valkyrie.
Oh Lord, I really don't know why that made me laugh, to be honest. Maybe my brain is starting to rot after being forced to endure over 1 hour of Taika Waititi's horrible writing. Who knows?
Listen, we good? Yeah? I mean, I know it's a little weird having my ex-weapon around, but come on, Mjolnir in the past. It's you and me now, buddy.
Okay, I think I finally understand what people mean when they say a movie is so bad it's good, because for the life of me, I can't tell you why I find this dumbass Thor and Stormbreaker relationship scene so fucking amusing right now. My nigga literally went out to have a conversation with his hammer about the state of their relationship because of his ex-weapon being around and another Thunder-themed weapon joining the team, and I can't stop fucking laughing, bro. Oh, what the fuck? Oh, my brain has to be rotting. There's no other explanation. My brain has to be rotting for real. I mean, it's currently 1 a.m. I mean, it was 1 a.m. when I wrote the script, and right now as I'm recording the audio, it's 1 a.m. and I haven't had a full night's rest in about a week because of this dumbass video. So maybe my sleep-deprived brain is just trying its best to find some form of amusement from this very, very torturous experience it's being forced to endure. Or maybe my brain is just slowly melting within the confines of my skull. Whew, good lord. I've been too busy contemplating if I'm still coherent or not that I have completely forgotten to keep you guys updated. They escaped Omnipotent City. Thor visits the kids and leaves their spirits. He gets interrupted by Taika Waititi's great writing. Our heroes reflect on how their sojourn to Omnipotent City was a complete waste of time and how they are now less powerful and in more trouble than they were when they got there. Thor checks up on Stormbreaker to make sure he doesn't fucking break up with him or something, and Jane walks out and the weirdest thing happens. Thor is trying to talk to her, but out of nowhere, she starts looking at him like she wants to replace all the Asgardian children with him. Like, jeez, woman, calm down. A couple of scenes ago, you were acting like his presence didn't faze you at all, but now you look like you want to ride him the way he was riding Stormbreaker at the start of the movie. You better chill out before Stormbreaker's jealous ass takes your head off like he did with Thanos. But actually, where is all this incredibly manufactured sexual tension coming from? And why is Thor acting like he's in primary school and doesn't know how to kiss a girl yet? That's right, I say primary school, not elementary school or grade school or whatever the fuck the Western equivalent is, because I'm too Nigerian, bitch. Thor completely fumbles the body, so we cut to Kog as he asks Valkyrie if she has ever had a special someone. She says she has had so many special someone but doesn't know if she wants that again. Then in what could only be described as the greatest exchange of dialogue in the history of cinema, Korg says this.
Is that because you lost your girlfriend in battle and never forgave yourself? And now you just try to find answers in the bottom of a bottle or some meaningless dalliance which only serves to numb the pain instead of bringing you real happiness or satisfaction?
Yup, just what we need. More tell, don't show. Because don't you just love it when a character completely monologues another character's backstory and motivations in the most expository and unengaging way possible? Jeez, bro. We don't even get a low effort, poorly shot and lazily written flashback. You're just going to straight up tell us her entire character description, cutting out any sense of nuance or depth her character might have gained by having the audience slowly peel back the layers of her psyche as we ponder the reasons behind her actions while slowly being fed bits and pieces of her backstory, seeing the way it affected her and how it still haunts her to this day. What was that, Taika? Fuck me and all my beautiful subscribers.
Boy, that escalated quickly. I mean, that really got out of hand fast.
Oh, okay. It's your movie. We cut back to Thor and he's hyperventilating. Fuck. I mean exasperating. Fuck. I mean he's breathing heavy as fuck. Almost as if he hasn't been this close to a woman before.
Beautiful. Beautiful thing. Jane.
Bro, chill out. She's just a science nerd. She's not even a real body.
My friend here told me that it's better to feel shitty from losing love than it is to never experience love and feel nothing at all, feel empty, and I think he was right.
So our God of Thunder is now attempting to confess his feelings for Jane, because I guess they are both a pair of 13-year-olds now. I'm also just noticing that Jane is wearing makeup. How nice. I guess Mjolnir also now incorporates mascara and detachable eyelashes into its summer armor collection.
I want to live in the moment. I want to live like there's no tomorrow, throw caution to the wind. I want to be with you, Jane. What do you say?
God, I really don't know what would be worse. Watching Thor try to confess his feelings for a girl he likes, like he's a fucking prepubescent teenage boy, or gouging my eyes out and feeding it to one of the stray dogs on my streets. Look, Taika, I get it. Rick and Morty is cool, hip, fun, the kids love it, everybody fucking loves it. So if you make your film more like Rick and Morty, maybe everybody will love your fucking film like Rick and Morty. But I don't know if this is the best way to pay homage to it. You're actively ruining your film and just making me want to watch Rick and Morty instead.
I have cancer.
I really don't know what the purpose of this scene is. I'm so tired. I can't even be bothered to narrate what the fuck is going on. Who are these characters and what the fuck are they trying to achieve right now? Jane was too cool for Thor literally 30 minutes ago, and now she looks like she wants to.
I'm gonna put you in 7 position for 70 minutes, you get it, babe.
Yeah, that. Skrull Thor is actually in character, but that's still not my fucking Thor. And now, more than halfway into the movie, our protagonist is finally made aware of the emotional crux of the story. The same emotional beat that was made fun of when it was introduced and hasn't been substantially built upon in any way up until now. I really hope Taika Waititi isn't still expecting us to care about this fucking bitch and her stage 4 cancer at this point.
And Mjolnir chose you. And it chose you because you're worthy.
No, nigga, it didn't. You programmed it to protect her and it started levitating when she went near it. The bitch isn't fucking worthy, nigga. Don't make me bitch slap you, Odin, son. Don't fucking make me.
But you taught me there is no greater purpose than to help those in need. You made me worthy.
Well, I'm not completely mad at that sentiment because he did learn how to be more humble and selfless as a result of spending more time with her in the first movie. So I guess Taika actually did watch a pre-existing MCU film before making this one.
So whatever you want to do, we can do together. Now what do you want to do?
Well, don't do that. You've got a mission that you absolutely need to stick to, remember?
I want to get those children back to their families. I want to finish that mission.
Yo, it would have been so crazy if Jane had said literally anything else, right? I mean, the fuck would they have done? Abandon the mission?
Spoken like a true Thor.
She's not a fucking Thor, nigga. You're a mythical fucking god, my guy. Not some costume for any mere mortal to put on and take off at their will. You're a person, not an idea. Fight for your own identity and individuality, nigga. But really though, if she had said anything other than precisely what we needed to drive the plot forward, you would have just abandoned the mission and taken her to go on more dumbass dates with her. That would have been a really stressful and awkward detour. Just casually flying back to Earth, walking past their Asgardian parents that have been anxiously waiting for you and telling them their kids will have to wait because your sick girlfriend wanted to go out for brunch one more time before she kicked the bucket. Pretty lucky she wanted to do exactly what's supposed to happen for the plot to stay on course. Pretty lucky indeed. Anyway, they have the worst jump cut filled, painfully forced and very clearly reshot makeout scene I've ever seen. To make things worse, Jane kisses Thor instead of the other way around, even going as far as being the one to pull his head in for the kiss. I mean, geez woman, he's already a humiliated shell of his former self. You don't have to cut his fucking balls off too. At least let him pull your hair or something. The fuck? Why are you pulling his head like that? Oh lord. They finish up their horrible makeout scene. Korg tries to do some unwanted foreshadowing for when Thor's bitch ass becomes a stay-at-home dad by adopting God's resurrected daughter for some reason.
I think Thor would make a great dad.
Shut fuck up, Taika. And after what felt like the worst, most painful and longest out of all their cringe-ass conversations, they finally reach their destination. Hold on a minute. Why does this look so familiar? Where have I seen this before? It's fucking Tiny Planet from Rick and fucking Morty! God, I can't believe I didn't catch this the first time I watched this movie. They literally ripped off Rick and Morty season 2 episode 10. Really, Taika? Really? Turning Thor into a combination of Morty and fucking Jerry wasn't enough for you? You had to rip off their fucking aesthetics as well? That's crazy. That's so fucking crazy. I don't even know what's crazier, blatantly ripping off Rick and Morty or making a combination of Jerry and Morty into one character. Ugh. This movie wants to be Rick and Morty so fucking bad. It's actually sad. It's actually really fucking sad. And the fact that I just made a big ass Rick and Morty video right before watching this film again isn't helping their case because now I'm just hyper aware of all their repackaged bullshit. Just look at this and tell me they didn't copy the concept and repackage it.
Look at this baby. Would you even know that wasn't Earth? Yes, because there's no Africa. Psh, white people problems, Morty.
Oh, bro said white people problems, Morty. Oh lord, what the fuck does that even mean, man? That's such a multi-layered joke, I don't even know where to start. Okay, so the premise here is that they are fugitives from Earth because the galactic government, a race of anthropomorphic insect aliens, is out to get them. Don't ask. So, they need for a new planet to inhabit that's at least 90% similar to Earth, but out of the jurisdiction of the galactic government. They find Tiny Planet and Rick says this.
Look at this baby. Would you even know that wasn't Earth? Yes, because there's no Africa. Psh, white people problems, Morty.
Oh god, oh god, oh god. Is this So, is it talking about the present day white people not being able to virtue signal to their other white people friends about how they are so cultured because they studied abroad in Africa and went on a vacation and went to a safari? Or is it talking about when they eventually have to repopulate the planet and because history repeats itself, the British colonies won't have any African nations colonized? Or is it talking about the Americans not having anywhere to get the African slaves from? Actually though, the more you think about it, the more you realize that it doesn't fucking matter, because either way you choose to interpret the joke, you still catch yourself in stitches laughing at this dumbass line for at least 5 minutes. Oh, I must say the white people problems, Morty. Oh Lord, I fucking love Rick and Morty, man. Fucking love that fucking show. Anyway, how did we even get here again? What were we watching before this? We're watching something. Oh yeah, Thor 4. Fuck! Fuck!
No! God, please, no! 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 No!
And by the way, I'm not insinuating that it's a sin to replicate what you see and like in another piece of art, or that you should never be inspired by anything. I mean, my entire channel is inspired by a lot of other channels that I really like and enjoy. But you know, with a sprinkle of my own special Weko sauce all over it, so it's now my own personal and unique thing. But Taika, on the other hand, that nigga ain't sprinkle shit. He just hit a quick Ctrl-C, Ctrl-V, reduced the saturation, slapped his name on it, and called it a day. Just look at these two scenes side by side and tell me Taika Waititi didn't just straight up rip off Rick and Morty.
Wait for it.
Morty, let's go down and check her out. Oh, I thought it was further away.
Right.
On top of all that, making this planet remarkably tiny adds nothing to the movie. The size of the planet doesn't particularly drive the plot forward. It says nothing about our characters, and it's not even a result of God's recent murderous activities, so it doesn't even complement the already non-existent world building in this film. This is actually just a Rick and Morty ripoff for the sake of being a Rick and Morty ripoff. At least in Rick and Morty, the size of the planet served as a narrative device that allowed Rick to eavesdrop on his family's conversations when Jerry brought up the idea to turn him in. It's the same way he ripped up the theater scene from Ragnarok, but forgot to make it relevant to the overall narrative he was telling. Tangential rant aside, they land on a tiny planet in the Shadow Realm, find out the kids aren't there, walk around for a bit, then Thor and Jane start holding hands, which is so weird because the last movie we saw them in showed them still being very much in love, but then this movie manufactured an entirely fabricated breakup scenario in their past for the sake of creating fake tension between them, but they're holding hands now because I guess the movie wants them to be in love again. Okay, while I was gathering clips for this video, I came across this scene.
Sorry to hear that Jane dumped you.
She didn't dump me, you know. I dumped her. It's a mutual dumping.
Hey, relax but still fast talking Edison Weko here. Quick PSA. When I'm making an argument, I like to imagine what the opposing side would say. Hey, that rhymed. I would imagine their points, then I'll refute those points with my points, just to buttress my argument and make it seem as strong as possible. Because it's actually a solid argument, because I don't make weak arguments, bitch. So, while skimming through old movies, I found two scenes that imply that Jane and Thor have been broken up. These were always fully throwaway jokes and they were never fully addressed. The first one is in Thor Ragnarok and the second one is in Avengers Endgame. I'll address the one from Thor Ragnarok because I found that one first. The one in Avengers Endgame is more or less the same thing, just a throwaway joke and a throwaway line. So I'll just put it right here for you guys.
Oh, you know, Jane and I aren't even dating anymore, so...
Alright, back to the video. Let me get back to editing now. We're about an hour in and this is the longest video I've ever made, so I really hope you're enjoying yourself. This was a throwaway joke that was never expanded upon, so it can't be used to justify this shit premise in this shit movie. In Age of Ultron, they were still together, or at least it was heavily implied.
No Pepper? She's not coming?
Wait, what about Jane? Where are the ladies, gentlemen?
Oh, Miss Potts has a company to run.
Yes, I'm not even sure what country Jane's in. Her work on the Convergence has made her the world's foremost astronomer.
This film's flashback implies that they broke up before this scene in Age of Ultron, which doesn't work because they are clearly still together in this scene in Age of Ultron. You simply can't gaslight me, Taika. I know my shit, so don't even bother. Okay, so they wander to a tent. Jane uses Mjolnir as a light source, bringing back color on whatever it shines on, which actually looks really cool, especially when contrasted on their desaturated environment. Oh yeah, did I forget to mention, everything is black and white now, you know, because of the whole Shadow Realm thing. She finds out that Stormbreaker is the key that Gore wants, so she runs out, does an efficient and not at all retarded looking spin move, and flings Stormbreaker away. Then she turns around and Mjolnir just flies into her hand without having been called by her prior to her spin. She just catches Mjolnir without having called it first, which isn't how it works, but okay. By the way, Thor is holding Stormbreaker throughout the time we see them in this tent, but when Jane runs out, it's just lying on the floor, even though the last time we saw Thor, it was in his hand. Why would he lay his weapon on the floor when they are literally walking through enemy territory with the sole purpose of locating and fighting the enemy? Gore walks in and immediately apprehends them with his shadow tentacles. W. Gore. He tells Thor to call the hammer. My mistake, I meant axe. He refuses, makes another joke they actually laughed at.
You really have to stop beating like this. Call the axe. Don't call the axe when you call the dentist.
You get it? Because his teeth are fucked up. Gore has some narratively inconsistent small talk with Jane and Valkyrie. This will be important later. Threatens to not consensually choke them out if Thor doesn't call the axe. He and Jane are in love again, so he sees her struggling to breathe and immediately calls Stormbreaker. Fucking pussy whipped ass nigga. It lands in his hand at an angle, almost as if someone tossed it to him, instead of the way it normally lands in his hand, upright and firm. I guess for this scene, Taika just forgot all about the proper hammer calling mechanics that have been perfected over the years by previous movies. They have a big CGI fight with big CGI shadow monsters that actually looks cool when contrasted with the scale of the tiny planet, but still doesn't justify the size of the planet, because if the big decisions in these Hollywood blockbuster movies were simply driven by whether something looked cool or not, we would have a lot of shallow and narratively inconsistent scenes in our movies. Along the way, their ship gets destroyed and Gore stabs Valkyrie in the back. They need to get Valkyrie back to safety, so Thor calls the Bifrost with Stormbreaker, which I guess he can do now because Stormbreaker forgave him after he poured beer on it earlier, so it works just fine now. Taika needs a way to get the axe in Gore's possession for the final battle, so Gore grabs the axe and Thor, get this, loses his grip. The God of Thunder lost his fucking grip. His weapons are literally attached to his hands by strong laws of magnetism. Combine that with his literal godly strength, and his weapons are essentially glued to his fucking hands, which means that he should never be able to lose his grip. But sure, Taika, he definitely lost his fucking grip. Also, if you're still confused and wondering why the inconsistency in the tone of my voice, this is Editing Reco. Hi. I want to make input on things I already said, but because I'm already working on this video for like 3 weeks now, I lack the energy to raise my voice and, be all energetic and shit. So this is what you get. This is my second and final introduction. I'll continue to pop in and out here, before here, after here, which now that I think about it, it's sort of like a commentary within a commentary. Nice. How meta of me. So look out for me and have fun. He didn't punch Gore in the face or call a quick lightning strike on his head top. Nah, he just lost his grip. Cool stuff. They get back to Earth and Jane reverts back to her normal cancer cell for some reason. We cut to Thor in the hospital, and because Taika Waititi needs another narratively inconsistent plot device to justify the way he wants to end the movie, we find out that Mjolnir is now draining Jane of her remaining mortal strength, preventing her from being able to fight the cancer instead of healing her. Even though we literally read in that dumbass book at the start of the movie that Mjolnir will be a source of, and I quote, great health, stamina, and spirits. I swear, these plot controversies have to be intentional at this point, because how are you going to tell your audience one thing at the start of the movie, continually tell us slightly different things throughout the film, then turn around and tell us the exact opposite at the end of the film? Jane still wants to fight because you only live once, I guess, and she'd rather spend her last days on the battlefield than try and fight the cancer, because all of a sudden, our calculative and logic-driven science nerd has now been characterized as an irrational hothead instead of the meticulous and risk-averse intellectual that she has always been. Her excuse isn't even that she wants to help the kids. Remember this shit. Yes, it will be important later. She literally just wants to feel alive one last time before she dies. Even though it was never previously established as her ability, Thor teleports or Bifrost away with the Thunderbolt, because I guess we're just blatantly manufacturing our plot contrivances at this point. We cut to Gore as he's assembling the Temple of Eternity or whatever the fuck it's called, and the kids are there with him again because it's time for the final battle and we need to artificially manufacture more stakes for our hero. Even though Gore no longer has needs for these kids, and it would be more beneficial for him to just kill the kids, the same way he has allegedly been doing to the gods this whole time, or keep them hidden and use them as leverage over Thor so he doesn't interfere with your plans. But sure, bring them with you to the final battle and surrender your strongest bargaining chip, because how else are we going to get a scene where Thor shares his god powers with a bunch of kids for no reason? Gore starts channeling the Bifrost towards the gates and attempts to open it, and it's going to take a while before it opens because we need more time for the final fight to happen first. Some debris falls on the kids and Thor appears out of nowhere to save them. He tells them to gather whatever weapon they can find, lifts it in the air, and then the dumbest thing in this entire movie finally happens.
Whosoever holds these weapons believes in getting home if they be true.
Fuck off, bro. Fuck off. What? What? How? Okay. Okay, let's let the clip play out first.
Whosoever holds these weapons and believes in getting home if they be true of heart is therefore worthy and shall possess, for a limited time only, the power of Thor!
Okay, let's just speed past the fact that Thor just vandalized and defiled Odin's original enchantment. An enchantment that has been a staple in the MCU as a standard requirement for anybody who wishes to wield Mjolnir. An enchantment that dictates even Thor's worthiness, as we saw in Endgame when he went back in time after feeling like a failure for 5 years. He wanted to know if he was still fit to be a warrior, still deserving of his mother's love, and still worthy of being Thor. So what did he do? He called his original hammer, the same hammer that was enchanted by Odin himself, and it came to him in all its glory, choosing once again to submit to Thor's might and will, which is why we all got chills in the theater the moment Mjolnir entered Thor's hand. And he said those damn words, "I'm still worthy."
I'm still worthy.
It wasn't simply because of the nostalgic feeling of seeing his old weapon again, but it was because we all knew what it meant and the weight that stood behind Thor still being able to wield and command Mjolnir at will. Fuck, man. I'm getting hyped just thinking about it again. Don't worry, I've got an endgame video coming for you guys, so don't even trip. That's if I don't fucking die while making this one. But speeding past all that, let's just critically analyze this statement and juxtapose Thor's new enchantment with Odin's original one.
Whoever holds this hammer, if he be worthy, shall possess the power of Thor.
Whosoever holds these weapons and believes in getting home, if they be true of heart, is therefore worthy, and shall possess.
Your demeanor is that of a pouty child.
For a limited time only, the power.
In Odin's enchantment, the emphasis is placed on the hammer. The hammer is what is special, so whoever is able to lift it is therefore special by extension. But not anybody is able to lift the hammer because not everybody is inherently special. You need to first be worthy to be able to lift the hammer. So the hammer doesn't just anoint you as special. You were already special before you lifted it. You were worthy of it, and that's why you were able to lift it. But with Thor's dumbass bootleg enchantment, it starts off with whoever holds these weapons, which is already a terrible place to start because now the emphasis isn't placed on one single weapon that was forged in the heart of a dying star whose power has no equal and was built as a perfect companion for a king. The emphasis is now placed on a bunch of junk that some kids found on the floor. Great. He goes on to say,
Whosoever holds these weapons and believes in getting home, if they be true of heart, is therefore worthy.
So now we're just straight up mocking the original enchantments. He says believes in getting home, which doesn't need to be there, and it's just added to try and further differentiate from Thor's original enchantments. Whoops, my bad. Thor's fucking did it again. Whoops, my bad. Odin's original enchantment, not Thor's. Then he says if they be true of heart and is therefore worthy, which on its own is a redundant statement, but I can see how it was added as a way to draw attention to the fact that these are kids and they could quite possibly be inherently worthy because they are pure of heart, even though there are some truly devious kids out there. But the new enchantment uses the word they instead of he, which emphasizes the collective instead of an individual, further diluting the uniqueness of being worthy, because now it's not just a chosen individual, it's a bunch of scared little kids, and the power of Thor has become a commodity that can be shared to the masses for a limited time offer. It's the fucking epitome of mockery and bastardization, to be honest. It spits in the face of Odin's original enchantments and waters down the individuality of Thor as a character, which I guess they've been doing throughout this movie with Jane, but they just had to bring home the disrespect with this scene, huh? It even breaks the world building of the rest of the MCU as a whole, because why didn't Thor just give everybody his powers in the fight against Thanos in Endgame, or at the Wakandan battle in Infinity War, or in the fight against Ultron in Age of Ultron when they were very clearly outnumbered and could have all used a little bit of that sweet Asgardian magic, or in the Battle of New York when the Chitauri invaded Earth, or in the fight against the Dark Elves. I could go on, but I'm sure you see my point. And I guess Thor must have been full of shit when he said this to Star-Lord in the Infinity War.
Wait, what kind of weapon are we talking about here?
The Thanos killing kind.
Don't you think that we should all have a weapon like that?
No. You simply lack the strength to wield them. Your bodies would crumple as your minds collapsed into madness.
Is it weird that I want to do it even more now?
Just straight up lie to my nigga's face. Anyway, a bunch of kids with zero battle experience charge into battle with the shadow monsters and proceed to expertly rip them apart because I guess Taika Waititi thought that would look cool. Thor and God fight for a bit and Thor immediately gets disarmed, becomes fatigued and gets defeated because we need a reason to bring Jane back into the movie. Thor and Jane tag team on Gore for a bit. Hey yo. Then Thor goes off to reacquire Stormbreaker and stop the gate from opening. Jane does some cringe monologuing and does nothing to help the kids behind her, including Axel. Again, this will be important later.
You've lost Lady Thor.
The name is Mighty Thor! If you can't say Mighty Thor, I'll accept Dr. Jane Foster!
Right.
Thor manages to break Stormbreaker away, and even though the gate was barely halfway open before Thor pulls Stormbreaker out, it's now completely open for some reason. Cool. Thor then throws Stormbreaker to Axel, who catches it as if he was Thor and he called the hammer by himself. Because why not just further deteriorate the value of being Thor by giving everybody every single one of his unique and special moves? He tells him to get the kids home, and even though they were all scattered around, still fighting the shadow monsters when Axel caught the axe. In the very next shot, they are now all gathered together and ready to leave with the monsters defeated all around them. I swear, if you guys don't give Wanda her editing credit at the end of this movie, I'm going to be very, very upset. Axel gets the kids back home. Jane was too busy monologuing to defeat Gore, so Thor has to step in. They destroy his sword, and instead of apprehending him, Thor makes googly eyes at Jane, so God makes it to eternity. And after all the plot controversies it took to get him here, Gore's dumbass just sits there and starts pondering the economic and socio-political state of the world instead of immediately making his his damn wish. Thor says some generic bullshit about choosing love over revenge, and Gore finally realizes for the first time that he could use his wish to bring back his daughter. Even though that should have been the first thing that popped in his head when he finally could get a wish from a space genie. Because this movie is held together by duct tape and inspired chewing gum, Taika Waititi pulls yet another fucking plot contrivance out his ass, and now Gore is dying. Seemingly as a consequence of his time with the Necro Sword, even though it was never explicitly established that the sword was draining or killing him. It was only stated that the sword was a curse, which was incredibly vague as fuck. Then it was then changed to be an infection, not a physical infection, but an infection of his mind, corrupting him and turning him evil. At least that was the context in which it was presented to us. And now it has been changed again to match Jane's affliction of being drained by the weapon that gave her power to begin with. Even though we had 0 instances where we see Gore getting weaker or losing his strength as a result of prolonged use of the sword, like we did with Jane. The only hint we got to this was on Tiny Planet when Gore told Jane that she was dying, then said they are on the same path, vaguely implying that he's dying too.
You're dying. I'm sorry. We're on the same path.
And this was even before they revealed that the hammer was actively killing her, making what Gore just said even more nonsensical and incoherent at the moment. This is simply a plot contrivance within a plot contrivance, and the laziest, most inconsistent type of writing I've ever seen. My left testicle could write a more coherent and narratively consistent script than this. It would probably be a shit script, but at least it won't have this many obvious plot holes and glaringly contrived plot devices. Jesus Christ. Gore then delivers this banger of a line.
I'm dying. She would have no one. She would be alone.
Then Jane says this.
She won't be alone.
Essentially decreeing that Thor will be a stay-at-home dad. What? Bro is the whole space Viking and the rightful king of Asgard, but sure, let's turn me to a single stepdad. Why the fuck not, Taika? Gore makes his wish, his daughter appears and still says next to nothing. We do not care about their reunion because she was given 0 characterization throughout the film, and her father was a plot contrived dumbass that did nothing to make us sympathize with him throughout the film. So him hugging his daughter does nothing for the audience. We cut back to Thor as he's holding Jane and he calls her a god because apparently gods aren't born. No, they are appointed after their boyfriend bends the rules to allow them to lift a god tier weapon in the name of protecting them, but that same weapon then turns around and starts killing them instead. You know, the way it's always been. Taika Waititi still expects us to care about Jane's death, even though he failed to emotionally set up her cancer diagnosis by bombarding the scene with unfunny jokes and kept on changing the facts behind the state of her health throughout the course of the movie, making it even harder for us to keep track of what was going on, let alone care about the sick bitch. She tells him to keep his heart open, which is a reference to him taking care of Gore's daughter, which itself is a plot thread that was stolen from Deadpool 2, where the protagonist's dying girlfriend asks him to take care of a child that's not his for some reason. Jane dies and turns into Asgardian space dust because that's exactly what happens to the body of a mortal human being when they die. Gore dies next, and after giving him 0 redeeming qualities, refusing to make his motivations make sense, and failing to help the audience empathize with him throughout the movie, Taika still expects us to give a shit about this nigga that's been nothing but a dick throughout the film, simply because he's dying now and he has a daughter. Yeah, cool story, bro. Thor and Gore's daughter stare at each other awkwardly for a bit, then we cut to New Asgard, where we see a statue of Jane, and hear a fresh narration from the one and only Taika Waititi in her name, because of course we do.
Her sacrifice saved the universe.
Well, that's just straight up the most false of exaggeration I've ever heard, which I never even knew one could over exaggerate falsely to begin with. First of all, Jane didn't do shit. She played with Gore for a while, did her little monologue while completely ignoring the kids behind her, and assisted Thor in destroying the Necro Sword. But Gore still made it to eternity in the end. Thor was the one who reminded Gore he could save his daughter, which led him to change his wish. If Jane wasn't there and the sword hadn't been destroyed, it wouldn't have made a difference because it would have still been Thor that talked him out of his wish. So Jane's sacrifice didn't do shit. And that whole part about saving the universe, I guess it's about how the universe would have been in a state of chaos if all the gods died. But even that is an over-exaggeration because the movie never explicitly told or showed us the possible ramifications that would fall upon all the regular everyday people in the universe if all the gods died. We never saw the gods play a pivotal role in the lives of these mere mortals that worship them. We actually saw the opposite, a bunch of gods in a secret clubhouse that like to sacrifice human souls in their name instead of rewarding them for their worship, would rather participate in orgies instead of helping save kidnapped children. And we even saw one straight up allow his entire people to perish simply because he wanted to get new ones to replace them.
There's no one left to worship you.
There'll be more followers to replace you. There always are.
Now tell me again, how exactly is the universe better off with all these functionally useless gods still around? That's right, it's not. So don't you dare give me this bullshit about her so-called sacrifice saving the universe. She didn't sacrifice shit and she didn't save shit. Taika is just aggressively manipulating the facts so that he can forge this lame-ass Frankenstein statement, which is crazy when you consider the fact that he wrote this fucking movie. He could have just written the events of the movie to match the bullshit he wants to say at the end, but I guess when you stack up all those plot contrivances together, there's no real way to make it make sense without literally breaking the laws of reality.
Her sacrifice saved the universe and taught us all what it means to be worthy.
Shut the fuck up, nigga. She wasn't worthy. Her boyfriend changed the rules and bastardized his father's original enchantment just to allow her and a bunch of kids wield the power of Thor for literally no reason at all. None of it made any sense and she didn't teach us shit, Stiker.
She helped the children of the gods, who laser beamed their way back home to their dozy little fishing village turned tourist destination.
Okay, so fuck manipulating the facts. Taika is just straight up lying out his ass right now. I mean, you all heard him just very obviously try and gaslight us, right? What do you mean she helped the kids get back home? That was literally all Thor. Maninga saved them from getting crushed. He gave them the power of Thor, literally empowering them to fight for themselves. Then once he got Stormbreaker back, he immediately gave it to Axel and told him to get the kids home. Jane contributed nothing to that whole situation. She just showed up, did a very narcissistic monologue while the kids were fighting for their lives behind her, failed to subdue Gore, and then assisted Thor in destroying the sword. So what's all this bullshit you're trying to sell me now, Taika? It's not enough that you took away everything that made Thor special and gave it to this cancer bitch and a bunch of kids. You need to take away all his W's too? Not cool, G. Not cool. So we see Thor with Gore's daughter and with no context for how long it's been since the last time we saw them. They are now best buddies even though they were awkward as fuck the last time they were together. I'm not saying they shouldn't get close to each other, but where is even a semblance of the natural progression from awkward to normal to friendly to best buddies that would have very obviously needed to happen for them to get to this point? And I'm not even going to touch why Thor is going into battle with a fucking child wielding a weapon that's clearly bigger than her. I guess we have to take away Thor's special weapon from him as well. The same weapon he almost died trying to forge and spent the entire movie trying to reconnect with. But I guess it wouldn't be a Taika Waititi Thor movie if we left Thor with any shred of his dignity or individuality at the end, now would it? So I guess all those relationship scenes between Thor and Stormbreaker were pointless. Crazy! I sound like I'm surprised, but I'm not. And of course, he gets yet another brand new costume because bro can't be caught dead wearing the same outfit to two different battles. Fucking slay, king! The editing of this movie still goes fucking hard because before they jump, there's nobody on the beach. But we cut to the next shot and the whole place is swarming with faceless CGI warriors. Even before they start running, we see a little cluster of warriors there, but they are literally scattered around, small as fuck. Then we cut to the next shot and suddenly they've multiplied tenfold. How? Fucking how? Taika, oh god, this movie fucking sucks.
Do you understand me, Hercules? Do you understand me, my son?
Yes, Father.
Hey look, another Spyro post-credit scene that's never going to go anywhere.
Thank you for looking after my son.
Hey look, even more lies. Come on now, Heimdall, don't play their fucking game. You see everything, my nigga. She never spoke to Axel or interacted with him, let alone looked after him. She didn't talk to him here, she didn't comfort him here, and she definitely didn't take care of him here. Again, that was literally all Thor, nigga. Fuck! Y'all niggas need to stop blowing smoke up this woman's ass because she didn't do shit in this movie.
Welcome to Valhalla.
Oh god, wow. So it's finally over. That definitely wasn't the most painful experience of my entire life. But sadly, it's over, but it ain't really over. Now is it? I'm still fucking here, aren't I? And you're wondering why? Well, it's kind of because I need to wrap this up nicely with a little bow for you guys so you can walk away with a deep and proper understanding of exactly why this movie sucks. First of all, the plot was trash from top to bottom. The inciting incident that put the story in motion started with a path to God's specific God conveniently appearing out of nowhere right after his daughter just died because of that same God that abandoned them. Even though Gore was in a fucking desert and his God would have been in some sort of otherworldly dimension or at the very least up in the clouds where he'll be far removed from his subjects, but instead he's conveniently situated right where the guy he just fucked over can very easily find and kill him. Then he ends with the most bizarre and overdramatic mission statement I've ever heard.
So this is my vow. All gods will die.
One god treated you like shit and now all gods must die? What, nigga? This shit still pisses me off for real. One waiter spat in your food and now you're going to treat every single waiter like shit? The fuck? Makes no fucking sense, my nigga. And if we go according to the logic of this film, God wasn't really in control of what he did because apparently the sword chose him, cursed him and infected him. But let's save all that for the character assassination segments. The big threat of the movie that drove the plot forward was this guy that was allegedly killing gods left and right. And apparently this was a bad thing, but we never saw him kill a single god outside of the inciting incidents. And we never got to see the ramifications that came as a result of his actions. We never truly saw why it was such a bad thing that the gods were dying. We never saw the good that the gods were doing and why we needed to save them. We were just told it was a bad thing because the plot had to keep going. We only managed to give a shit or feel any sense of stakes when the movie wasn't fucking waterboarding us with a million of funny jokes a minute because our protagonist is a god as well. And by the end of the movie, the number of plot controversies that came out of nowhere could make an old lady scream. Could make a girlfriend cream. Could be made into a meme. Need a villain for your movie, but lack the skill and dedication required to flesh him out as a character and give him a sensible motivation to drive his action throughout the movie. Easy. Just make him a melodramatic, overreactive dumbass that goes off the rails after a single bad interaction, and just hand him exactly what he needs to become a villain in the most inorganic way possible. He needs to get that same villain from point A to point B so he can get the villain origin story, even though point B should be a place outside the parameters of his confined and limited reality, and point A is a fucking desert with nothing but sand in all directions for miles on end. Easy. Just have a fucking spiritual oasis appear out of thin air and have him teleport there almost instantly. You need to get rid of the Guardians because you really don't want them in your movie. Just have them split up at the start of the film and never regroup. Even though they should have definitely at least called to check on Thor's side of the mission. And when Thor needed reinforcements to go fight God, the Guardians should have definitely been the first people he called, seeing as he just spent the last few months adventuring with them, fighting with them, and growing closer to them as part of their disjointed family. But Taika definitely doesn't want you to think too much about all that. Hey Taika, it's a new movie and our protagonist should probably get a new suit. So how do we organically transition him from his old one to his new one? Organically? The fuck is that? Nigga, just have him make a new one with lightning literally every 5 minutes. Anybody got time for that organic bullshit? This ain't fucking Whole Foods, nigga. Are you sure you can say that word, Taika? Shut the fuck up, nigga. Okay. We need to give Jane Foster the power of Thor so we can be comic accurate. For the sake of being comic accurate, just manufacture some completely bullshit set of memory between her and Thor. They have Thor vaguely imply that Jane can now lift the hammer. Even though Odin's enchantment shouldn't be so easily overwritten, especially when you consider the fact that Thor didn't know he was doing an enchantment as he was talking casually with his hammer in the moment of euphoric bliss after spending all day with his girlfriend. God could have very easily killed or wounded Thor and taken Stormbreaker right here at the start of the movie, but because we wanted to kidnap the kid so we can further spit in Odin's face at the end of the film, we'll just make God engage Thor in small talk and give him ample time to unbound himself. You want to artificially inflate the runtime of your film, waste your audience precious time, and make your movie feel more high concept than it is. Why not send your heroes to Omnipotent City, a place where they will gain absolutely nothing and even end up one man down by the time they leave? Even though Thor could have easily contacted the Guardians and asked them for help at any point in this movie, I'm not even joking, the Omnipotent City part could have been cut out in its entirety and this movie would have played out the exact same way. The important thing that happens there is that Korg dies and we find out about eternity. These are two things that could have very easily been achieved once they got to the Shadow Realm. They could have found out about eternity from the drawings that Jane saw when she got there, and they could have just had Gore crush Korg with one of his shadow monsters. The Thunderbolt stuff is pointless because it only serves to get Thor to the final battle after Stormbreaker was taken from him, but you could have clearly gotten it on Valkyrie's Pegasus. Fucking the bitch's flying bird, you know what I mean? Flying horse. I meant flying horse. Messed up my own goddamn joke. And Taika could have just given Jane the ability to call the Bifrost just to get her there if he really wanted to. The Omnipotent City scenes actively work against the plot of the movie because it only shows us that God is right wanting to kill all the gods because they're all dicks that would literally let children die so they can have their orgies in peace, giving the audience no reason to be invested in the fact that our heroes want to save all the gods. These scenes would have only been beneficial to the plot if God was our protagonist, making his mission seem even more righteous and necessary, or if there were alternative scenes that presented a different set of gods that were nice, eager to help the children, and weren't completely narcissistic dicks. We need God to get the axe so that the plot can progress and we can move on to the final fight. Why not just have our bulked up God of Thunder lose his fucking grip instead of punching that broomstick looking ass nigga that's literally half his size, or calling down a reasonable amount of lightning on his head? We need a reason for Jane to be sick so she can die at the end of the film. Just make it so that Mjolnir is actually killing her instead of healing her. Even though we established at 2 different points in this movie that Mjolnir is a source of great health and has literally been ordered to keep Jane safe. Even though prior to this film we have never heard of Mjolnir even remotely harming the person that's wielding it, talk less of draining them of their mortal life force. The fuck? Just casually turn Thor's beloved weapon into a vampire for the sake of this dumbass plot device. We need to get Thor to go for the third act climax, even though we just made him lose his fucking grip and now has no means of accessing the Bifrost. Easy. Just have him teleport or fly away or something with the Thunderbolts. Are you sure, Taika? You haven't established or even hinted that it has this ability. Why not just give him Valkyrie's Pegasus? Because we've already established that it has the ability to use portals to teleport. No, nigga, we use the Thunderbolts. So he's just gonna keep saying the N-word like that? Hey, stop in comment here. Get back to work, nigga. Okay, it's your funeral. We need to give the heroes and villains enough time to have a generic and uninteresting final fight. Why not just arbitrarily reduce the size of the Bifrost beam that Stormbreaker channels in order to extend how long it takes for the gate to open? Then, just fully open the gate after Stormbreaker has been removed and clearly didn't finish opening the gate simply because one got to make it to eternity by the end. You want to have a big CGI spectacle at the end of the movie simply because it will look cool and not make sense when you think about it for more than 5 seconds. Why not have Thor further spit on Odin's grave by butchering his original enchantment and giving his powers to a bunch of fucking kids with zero battle experience. He wants to kill God at the end because there's no way in hell Christian Bale is coming back for a second movie or even a cameo in Secret Wars. Why not just piggyback off of Jane's plot contrivance and say the sword is killing God as well? Even though we saw no single instance where it was even implied that God was losing his strength due to prolonged usage of the sword. You want Thor to now be a stay-at-home dad even though there was no setup or build-up for this dumbass payoff throughout the whole movie, outside of that equally dumbass line that the writer literally said out loud in the movie.
That's too bad. I think Thor would make a great dad.
Just have Jane said that Thor would take care of God's daughter, even though she could have literally stayed with any of the many loving families in New Asgard. You want a cool visual where Jane turns into space dust in Thor's hands, and a post-credit scene where she gets artificially gassed up by Heimdall for taking care of his son, even though she never said a word to him or interacted with him. Easy. Just have Thor call her a god right before she's supposed to die, because she played with his hammer for a bit, then kicked the bucket, even though she's a mere mortal whose body would definitely not turn into space dust when she dies because she's not Asgardian. You want to make Jane sound like the hero of the story in the closing narration because it is literally a sin to let Thor be the hero of his own story. Just manipulate the facts so they say exactly what you want them to say. Then straight up lie to the audience about what she achieved in the movie, so we don't focus on the fact that you could have removed her entirely from this movie and you'd have lost nothing of value. You want to show Thor and God's daughter vibing with each other and making jokes so that the movie can end on a happy note. Easy. Just create an official connection between them. They feel like they've been close for years. Even though the last time we saw them together, they were awkward as fuck. Then give the audience no sense of how long it's been between the end of the movie and the last time we saw them, just to make this particular contrivance as jarring as possible. Wow, 20 plot contrivances. That's crazy, Taika. 20 is fucking crazy, Taika. You gotta start proofreading your scripts or something, my nigga. God damn. Anyway, the plot was heavy doo-doo water, and it falls apart if you decide to ask even the most basic of questions. On to the characters. Yeah, they all suck and literally learn nothing of substance by the end of the film. Jane Foster is a scientist who's very meticulous and calculative in nature. She's completely in awe of Thor and his might because he's literally a space Viking. But in this movie, she's too cool for Thor, until Taika out of nowhere decides that she now really wants to fuck him for no reason. She's now an irrational, impulsive and boneheaded child that wants to smash first and think later, refusing to come up with a plan in omnipotent city and preferring to go in guns blazing, refusing to listen to logic when she finds that Mjolnir is killing her instead of helping her, preferring to go out fighting in one more battle like an impulsive crackhead rather than spend her last days with all her loved ones, or at least doing some more science to try and extend her lifespan. But when Taika Waititi wants to do something cool and comic accurate, he remembers that she's a scientist, has her spew some technical science phrases at the screen, then forgets to have her use her analytical mind again for the rest of the movie, fails to properly deliver the emotional blow that was supposed to be her death at the end of the film due to the poor setup and increasingly inconsistent build-up of the cancer premise throughout the film. That flashback scene with her mom literally came out of nowhere, was never referenced again, and added nothing to the emotional core of this film. Then at the end, Taika just straight up lies to the audience about all the things she didn't do in the film to make it seem like she was more important than she really was. Even though if you cut her out entirely, this would be a far better movie, or at least it would be a film with 7 less plot holes. Yup, Jane single-handedly caused half of the bullshit plot controversies in this film. Fucking waste of a character. Thor is a stoic badass with a sense of humor that's been through a lot in his very long life. Yeah, that's it. It's literally that simple. So how the fuck did you manage to mess it up so bad, Taika? I've said it before and I'll say it again. The Thor we got in Infinity War is by far the best and most superior version of Thor in the entire MCU. There is this magnificent scene with Thor and Rocket in a spaceship on their way to forge Stormbreaker, and it encapsulates everything I described about Thor while also giving us so much more. Hey, that rhyme. We open up with his stoic nature. His humor is slowly revealed. Then he shows us all the people he has lost, how it affects him mentally. Then we see him immediately return back to his resting stoic demeanor. Even through all that, we get to see his badass side because the scene lets us know how he has taken the pain from all the losses he has experienced and turned it into fuel for his vengeful desires. Then on top of all that, the same movie still gave us the most badass Thor scene in the entire MCU. You know the fucking scene. Yo, editing work, roll that fucking clip, my nigga.
Bring me Thanos!
Wait for it.
God damn! Fucking chills every single time I hear that thunder in his voice. I mean, the dual wielding Thor scene in the endgame final battle is cool as well, but there's no vengeful anger in his eyes and he's completely out of shape, so there's no way he can jump the way he did in Infinity War. Anyway, got carried away by the allure of other more superior pieces of media again, so let's get back on track. In this movie, Thor is a shell of his former self, made to appear more unnecessarily emotional than he has ever been, with no real explanation as to why. Infinity War might have been the first time. No, scratch that, I just double checked. Infinity War is definitely the first time we ever ever see Thor crying. It's when he recalls all the people he has lost after literally having just lost his brother and his best friend. And even then, it's just a single tear that he immediately wipes away. But in this movie, Thor is self-conscious and insecure for no reason at all. As if that wasn't bad enough, we get an out of context and completely pointless scene of Thor shedding tears with no explanation as to why. Because actually, what is the reason for this scene? Why this? I'd compare this scene with the rocket scene in Infinity War, but one is a testament to what great character writing can achieve. The other is a director's blatant attempt to humiliate the protagonist, and quite frankly, I feel like that would be an insult to both the rocket scene and good writing as a whole. To go from egotistical, cocky and prideful in his first appearance to gradually becoming more humble, funny and stoic over time, to then end up as self-conscious, emotional, irrational and an insecure shell of a man in this movie might just be a teeny tiny itty bitty little bit fucking crazy. Taika, you wanna chill out, bro? Huh? You getting off on this, bro? You getting off on putting my boy Thor down? Huh? Hey, yo, you wanna chill out there, nigga? Shut the fuck up, editing Weko. Now, where was I? Or is that just as close as you get to emasculation humiliation without literally having to cut his fucking balls off, Taika? What was once a great sense of humor has been turned up to 11 and is now just a deep compulsion to take everything as unseriously as he possibly can, taking away any sense of stakes or emotional weight in any given situation. He's now just a straight up dumbass that destroys public property for no reason, and he's still stressing over this basic bitch that left him a breakup note over 8 years ago when he literally just lost his father, his brother, his best friend and half his fucking kingdom just 5 years ago. Makes no fucking sense, but alright. I don't even know what else I can say about his dynamics with Jane from earlier in the movie. Thor as a grown man actively struggling to talk to a woman that was essentially worshipping him in the last 2 movies was just too painful to watch. But I guess that's what happens when you secretly get replaced by a Skrull in between movies. There, I said it, it's out there, it's official canon, you can't fucking stop me, fuck you, this is what I believe now. Moving on. Valkyrie is pretty much the same more or less. I mean, she's been made to be more jovial and goofy since the last time we saw her, but that's just thanks to the overall dog shit tone of this movie. And instead of fleshing her out as a character, Taika Waititi opted to literally read out her entire character description word for word with his own fucking mouth. So, you know, that was nice. Korg more or less remains the same as well. I'd say he's been jumbled up by the horrible tone, but he's really always been like this, to be honest. I'm pretty sure Taika must have ad-libbed most of his lines in Ragnarok, then did the same thing here, so there's not much disparity between his performance in Thor 3 and his performance in Thor 4. When Korg is not actively learning about our characters or assassinating them through narration, he's more or less a background character with nothing to do, so Taika just arbitrarily kills his own self-insert character, only to immediately bring him back as a face, then gives him back his full body at the end, just to further drive home the point that nothing matters in this fucking film. The choice to arbitrarily kill Korg for half the film is actually fucking weird if you think about it. I can only theorize that it came as a result of needing to save some money in the VFX department, so he just reduced Korg to a face so he wouldn't have to spend money rendering his body, but will still be able to star in his own film. And finally, Gore, possibly the most wasted and pointless villain in the entire MCU. I say this because at least most of the horrible and forgettable villain of the week bad guys we've seen throughout the course of the entire MCU have all had relatively strong and vivid motivations. But you see my nigga Gore? Yeah, bro had no real motivation because deciding to kill an entire group of people simply because one of them was a dick to you will never make sense to anybody with more than 2 brain cells to rub together, no matter how many plot contrivances you throw at that flimsy ass premise. The movie failed to characterize his daughter in any meaningful way and therefore failed to make us care about her death, which is his primary driving force for most of the runtime. They built him up as a great god butcher but never showed him killing a single god outside of his own, which doesn't count because it was the inciting incident and the sword was literally handed to him on a silver platter in that instance. It failed to further characterize him throughout the movie when they could have very easily gone the empathetic villain route by making him convey a sense of uncertainty towards his impulsive decisions and the resulting chaos that came because of his actions. Maybe even go all the way and show him mentally fighting back against the Necro Sword for control of his mind and redeem your flimsy plot points by showing us how the more control it has over him, the more it drains him of his life force. Or maybe even show him agree with the sword at first, then halfway through he changes his mind after realizing that he has gone too far. Then you can build the literal internal conflict from there. Then you don't even have to make Thor the one that foolishly reminds God's dumbass that he can bring his daughter back with a fucking wish. You could just write it so that at the end he finally gets control back of his mind and defeats the Necro Sword internally. Then instead of wishing to kill all gods like the Necro Sword wants, he wishes for his fucking daughter back. And after fighting the Necro Sword throughout the movie, he has lost so much of his life force. When he finally gets his daughter back, he's dying and he can't be with her. That's how you fucking do it, nigga. Come on, Taika. These are easy, empathetic villain gold nuggets right here. Do you know how easy it would be to feel bad for a guy who just lost his fucking daughter and is losing his fucking mind because his god abandoned him and the demon fucking sword is taking control of his body? Easy fucking layup, my guy. If you would have done just one of the premises I just described and characterized his daughter properly, bro, tears tears at the sight of God during the finale of this movie. It would have all come together. We care about his daughter. He got his fucking daughter back. We've been watching him fight for his fucking life throughout. He finally beats the sword. But when he beats the sword, it's too late because it has drained too much of his life force, and we're all just in the... Oh Lord, I can't even think too much. I can't even think too much about the possibility of how great a villain Gore could have been. But you had to go fuck him up now, didn't you? Thanks a lot, Psycha. Thanks. You could have done a straight up body snatcher Venom symbiote situation with Gore and the Necro Sword and made it so compelling to watch. But we didn't have time for any of that because Taika had to squeeze in 3 separate soft-insert monologues disguised as narration that did nothing but make this film worse overall, ruined our characters, and destroyed the world building of the universe at large. Then at the end, they built a plot contrivance within a fucking plot contrivance just to be able to kill him off because the actor was never going to come back for a sequel, and they wanted to pair his daughter with Thor. What a waste of a perfectly good actor. You got Batman, the Machinist, and Dick fucking Cheney in your movie, and you did all of jack shit with him. Just the biggest all-round waste of characters I've ever seen. Now, onto the theme. So, what the fuck did Taika want us to take away from this movie? You know, besides the generic and first message about love that we've seen done better in a billion other movies. And what exactly does he even mean by that? Is he saying to love your daughter so much that you're willing to commit mass genocide on a cosmic scale just to change your mind at the end, choose to bring her back to life instead, and pawn her off to some strange nigga you know nothing about? All you know is that he's a god, and you fundamentally believe that all gods are wicked. So for all you know, you brought your daughter back just to condemn her to a life of misery and suffering under the tyranny of a wicked and all-powerful being. W fucking parenting right there, man. But actually, it's crazy how Gore has no idea who the fuck Thor is, but just put the safety and future of his daughter in his hands. He believes Thor is fundamentally evil because he's a god. All the times they've met, Thor has literally tried to kill him, and for all he knew, Thor could have just pulled that bullshit about love out his ass just to save his own skin by getting God to change his wish. But Taika does want you to think about all that. Just look at the pretty colors, laugh, sharply exhale through your nose 2 or 3 times, then give him all your money. Or was the lesson to obsess about a person who dumped you almost a decade ago to the point where you can't build new connection with the people you care about, and you relinquish all your responsibilities in the name of finding yourself, then end up as a single step parent to a child you have no business taking care of? Or was it to spit on your dead father's grave by completely overturning his original command and giving literal children with 0 life experience an obscene amount of unchecked power and control? I could do this all day, but I believe you get the point. There's a reason I initially felt nothing immediately after watching this movie for the first time. It's because I gained nothing from my experience, and I would have been better off staying at home rewatching Rick and Morty for the millionth time. Taika essentially copied their fucking homework, and at least I would have been entertained by some actually well-crafted and hilarious jokes. Hey yo, season 7 about to pop off, season 7 on the way, you know what I'm saying? Let's get it. Also, I just found out that Gore's daughter is actually Chris Hemsworth's daughter in real life, which explains why they had so much natural chemistry at the end. This obviously doesn't excuse the lack of substantial build-up towards their on-screen relationship, but it's actually really adorable when you think about it, and it makes the scene 15% less irritating when you rewatch it. At least I'm assuming. I'm never willingly rewatching this film again, so I wouldn't know for sure. I just pulled that number out my ass for real. You know, same way Taika pulled all the jokes for this movie out his ass for real. The world building did not survive either. We now have new flashback scenes that cause at least 3 different plot holes in our perfectly written Infinity Saga. One scene dilutes Odin's authority over Mjolnir, and another single-handedly discredits one of the greatest films in the MCU and ruins a perfectly crafted joke in this movie's predecessor. Then another flashback just straight up assassinates Thor as a character for no reason at all, but alright. I'm literally never going to get over this scene. Why the fuck is Thor crying? This scene alone pokes several holes in every single battle in the MCU, big or small, that Thor was a part of, and still manages to spit in Odin's face at the same time. So at least we got another 2-for-1 deal with this one. The hammer catching mechanics were just off 2 times in a row that one time. Oh yeah, and lest I forget, Stormbreaker and Mjolnir are now both sentient, and Stormbreaker can express feelings of jealousy and Stormbreaker can express both feelings of jealousy and insecurity. Oh fuck. Oh yeah. They made Stormbreaker sentient just to make him jealous and insecure about Mjolnir. Oh, you can't make this up. You actually can't. It's not possible to. Oh fuck. It bitches and moans every time Thor even looks at Mjolnir or mistakenly compliments another weapon. But it's perfectly calm when Thor literally hands it over to a child just so he can be reunited with the same weapon he was jealous about throughout the whole fucking movie. Taika Waititi. Taika. Oh lord. Fucking great stuff. Apparently, there's a clubhouse filled with all sorts of powerful gods in space. So, Where the fuck were they when Thanos snapped his fingers? Why didn't they stop that nigga? And can I be invited to the orgy? Also, there is a straight up wishing well at the center of the universe. Why didn't Thor go there at the end of Infinity War with his newly forged axe and just wish everybody back to life? That information just happened to slip past his mind throughout the course of Infinity War and Endgame. Okay, without entering the realm of nitpicking, I think that should be about it for world building at this point. Yeah, literally did more damage to the entire MCU as a whole than these inconsistent multiversal plotlines they keep trying to jam down our throats. As for the tone, I felt nothing for most of this film, just wanted it to end as soon as possible. I mean, they obviously went for an overly comedic tone with Drew Comedy humor peppered in here and there, but I definitely wasn't laughing. And I fucking love Rick and Morty, bro. You know, in case you guys didn't pick up on that just yet. Besides 2 or 3 genuinely funny moments in this 2-hour-long movie, I barely smiled for most of it. The tone completely vandalized through what was supposed to be the emotional moments, making it even weirder and jarring when they tried to go from jokes and silliness throughout to remorse and sadness at the end. So when I wasn't feeling anything or laughing at the only 2 funny jokes, I was actively cringing at the first emotional scenes and the abysmally uncomfortable dialogue scene between Jane and Thor for most of the film. I still have no idea why she went from barely noticing Thor's existence to straight up wanting to repopulate Asgard with him. So in summary, the plot's a fucking mess, the themes were non-existent, the characters have all been assassinated, the tone is a fucking joke, literally, and the world building is actually catastrophic. But hey, at least after all these movies in the MCU, and after all those years of him trying to find himself, we finally figured out who the fuck Thor is. No, he's not a warrior, he's not an avenger, he's not a god, and he's definitely not a fucking king. What could possibly have given you that idea? Nope, fuck all that. Thor is a stay-at-home dad. Nice. Very nice. Anyway, this film sucked and it has 0 redeeming qualities. So, thanks Taika. You completely ruined one of the best characters in my favorite franchise.
It's been an absolute disaster, but that's just the way it is on my films.